Greetings, everyone, and welcome to a very boob tube edition of Monster Party.
Monster Party! It's electronic. It's give me the remote.
We're talking about TV. Did you get it?
Television.
Yes.
Let me hit you with my joke hammer.
Yes, and speaking of hitting over with a joke hammer, who are you, sir?
I will accept that as a segue. I am Matt Weinhold.
I am Shawn Sheridan.
I'm Larry Strothe.
And I'm James Gonis.
Yes.
And for this episode, we are returning to a topic that we did in the past.
Yes.
But it's so massive.
So massive.
That you can't encapsulate it in one episode. And so we thought we would do another round of it.
Another round?
Another round.
What is this amazing another round topic?
The topic is Horror TV Volume 2.
Horror TV Volume 2. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, yeah.
Scary. Well, if we're gonna dive into this,
We are
horror
gonna dive
TV
in,
part
and yes.
2, Volume 2. Who could we possibly get who knows about horror TV?
Who could we get?
Yes.
We could get a person who is, I like to think of, like a member of my family. A comedian, an actor, an executive producer. He's a podcaster. He's my mentor.
Yeah?
He's a necromancer. He's a writer for The Simpsons. Stand Against Evil created the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Dana Gould.
Dana Gould!
Thank you. Thank you for calling it Stand Against Evil, because now in retrospect, it is only Stand versus Evil when people ask me about it. My own agents are like, yeah, somebody called about they saw Stand versus Evil on Scotland.
Well, you know, it's versus, it's quick, you know?
It's a better title.
How's that?
All my titles are the worst titles in the world.
You're still doing that Stan Loves Evil?
Yeah. Stan Fights Scary Scrubs. What's it called? Yeah, all my titles.
Scary Scrubs.
I had I had an album entitled "Let Me Put My Thoughts in You," which is
Great title.
a word burger, we like to call
But
it.
good.
I have one good title, two good titles. No, I'm not good with titles.
Well, let me just ask. Let's look at the elephant in the room here, okay? This Stand Against
I'm a little
Evil.
afraid.
Pick an elephant.
No. It's so, you know, the last time we had you on the show, we actually had a whole episode dedicated to Stand Against Evil.
Right.
And you had
Yeah.
Susan Burke,
That's
very
right.
talented,
Very talented.
writer,
Very good.
and it was a great show.
Yeah.
But you were talking about the stuff that you had in the show, and then you guys ran for it with 3 seasons.
3 seasons, yeah.
Three seasons.
Yeah.
3 wonderful seasons.
And they replaced us with a show that basically destroyed the network.
Can you share?
It's a really great show called Sherman Showcase that's basically behind the scenes at Soul Train, at a Soul Train kind of show.
Oh.
The trick is IFC is possibly, and I don't think this was but by design, like one of the widest watched television networks on the space.
In fact, they had that
And
show called The Whitest Kids or whatever.
Wow.
Comedy
and then
show.
they made a really wonderful show called Sherman Showcase that I really liked. And when they said, like, yeah, they can only really make like 1 or 2 shows. They have very limited budget. And they went, yeah, we think you did a good job 3 seasons. Now we're going to make this show. And I was like, well, that's a good idea. You know what? I can't fault you. I couldn't. And they're my friends, and I don't have an axe to grind at all about it.
And I'm sure they were trying to widen
they're
their
great.
parameters.
Yeah,
Hey,
I don't complain about it. I sleep like a baby.
And your
but
show-
it did not go over well.
Oh,
wow.
well, that's a shame.
Yeah.
But the show that you created, Stand Against Evil,
Stan's fights monsters.
Stanny Stan and his ghosts.
Stanley Monster Fightman.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you should feel bad. I mean,
I don't.
Classic Star Trek had 3 seasons.
Yeah, no, 3
That's true.
And you had 3.
And
Here's what you get.
And you got to
a
end
lot of
it.
shows. And I did. Yeah, although people don't realize I ended it. They're like, no, that's it.
Yeah.
I had it possible. I knew how I was gonna.
You
do
could
it.
start it
No,
up.
I knew how to. I knew how I was going to
We're
start.
Dark
the 4th
Shadows
season.
fans. We
Yeah.
know that anything can
Yeah.
be written out of.
Yeah, it only looks like he's dead.
Right.
I add away, the first scene was cut, but the first scene of Conquest of the Planet of the Apes was that baby swimming. Missed. He was like getting shot in the tub in High Plains Drifter. I don't know how he missed.
He just spits out the bullet.
Oh, but you,
Caesar's coming to get some.
but
That's
you-
if I get to my own horn. That is, we were talking about the documentary Making Apes, which was a television series as well.
Yes.
That was the one thing I said in that documentary. It was funny. It was the ending of Escape from the Planet of the Apes is the most 70s ending of all time. It was like, well, in the last movie we destroyed the planet. How can we top that? Let's shoot a baby.
but see, that's
And
not
a nice medium show. We're not going to cut away either.
And wait a minute, and
We're
also
gonna see
Several
it.
times.
Bang.
and with the very last scene where Caesar is saying "Mama,"
Yeah.
really, they couldn't just give the
Oh, come
chimp.
on.
Wait a minute, they couldn't just give the chimp a little more bubble gum and let him get through.
Instead of doing the reverse.
Instead of doing the
Right.
reverse thing where
Yeah.
everything in the scene
Yeah.
goes backwards.
Well, as you know, all the money in that budget went to that amazing gorilla that.
The one that kills Milo.
You're talking about in towards the beginning. It's like
Yeah.
the first.
What was the deal?
We've
with that?
laughed about this forever.
like, it's inexplicable.
two separate,
but it's inexplicable.
two
Like,
separate gorillas that are horrible.
They've been in movies with great gorillas in the past 4 years. Like, what the hell is this? A
Call
prank?
Bob Burns.
Okay, no, wait a minute. Now, for listeners who don't know, because you bring up a good point. Now, this really isn't in our
off
topic,
but
for
we're all men of the world.
Great classic film, Escape from the Planet of the Apes.
Yep.
There's this sequence when the 3 apes that come out of the spaceship and they're taken to this
Right.
zoo
And
area.
Sal Mineo.
Sal Mineo.
His mother.
Or
And,
Sal
and there is
Mineo.
a
Who died
gorilla, a
tragically.
sick
Yeah.
gorilla in the other cage, and it is frustrating. You think you look
It's like
at
a
the
dime store gorilla.
It is. And
It really is.
Matt's right because
Yes.
I was actually said this to my wife. My wife had never seen it, and we just watched it
Did she
not
laugh
too long
when she
ago.
saw that?
No, she asked about it. I go, honey, it's one of the big questions.
nobody
that
knows.
But do you
everyone
think
is
the
asking.
producers
Why-
are thinking that like they want their ape characters that that is a very specific ape look, and it's
Yeah.
not. They don't exactly look like regular apes because they
Well,
they
they're
look
evolved
like,
apes.
right?
Right.
So maybe
Yeah.
they were worried that like
It was
regular
just-
ape
but
would
it was
be
just
too close.
But
Or,
even then, it was just bad.
yeah, it was bad. I know.
Well, and then you get to the museum, and you
And
see
that was just it's a raccoon.
what did someone during the night break the statue
Okay.
and find another head
The
to put on
gorilla
it?
in the museum looks like the wind-up plastic King Kong that has sparks when it walks.
Yeah.
Look, now, I'm
weird.
going to go out on a limb here. I am going to say, bear with me here. That ape, I think it was a stuffed ape from like 1890s.
Yeah, I think it was real. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
and,
was just
and
like
you
that's
know,
what
so it
happened
was
to
an old, beat up,
Yeah.
stuffed figure ape.
But there's no
Yeah.
excuse.
Yeah, you can
I
find
don't have a
another
problem
one.
with that. Yeah, but the gorilla and the
Yeah,
it's
no.
really like,
Yes,
no.
yes, and
It's
I.
just
That's like
bad.
that's like a Hollywood Boulevard in front of Grauman's kind of ape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Want to take a picture with a gorilla?
Yeah.
Well, that was like, Arthur B. Jacobs, like, we need a budget for the fake gorilla. Hang on, I'm looking at some property in Vermont. What?
Wait a minute. That one.
Yeah, just look at what's bottom of the barrel. Okay.
Well, I will say this. Okay, so maybe.
Johnson Smith catalog. Okay, yeah.
So
go.
look, I understand that ape doesn't look great, but there is a lot of great stuff in that film.
It's a great movie.
and
It's a great movie.
one
The
of
story is brilliant.
One
The
of the
story is
moments,
completely
one of the moments that
brilliant.
my wife loved is when Caesar comes into his hotel room with Zira's in the bathtub, and he's got that amazing
Cornelius.
Yeah, Cornelius, yeah.
has the great.
Multicolored
Multicolored
bathroom.
Well, no,
And-
his
and,
bathrobe cost more than the ape.
Yeah, and,
Sure.
and I was in San Francisco last week, and a woman came up to me who had made a scarf to match that bathrobe.
That's awesome.
I want to do that costume.
I want an action figure.
Awesome
Groovy
costume.
Cornelius.
Yeah.
Groovy Cornelius.
I want
is
an
great.
action
Mark
figure of him.
Tavares just did a painting of Groovy
Yeah, yeah.
Cornelius.
We're gonna have to call up Dr. Migo.
Yeah,
and have
Groovy
him-
Cornelius. It's time for Groovy. Groovy Cornelius needs his time in the sun,
Yeah.
I think.
Speaking of which, we will get onto the nub of the show here very soon. But we all know that Dana Gould does this amazing portrayal of Dr. ZAIUS.
Which gets weirder and weirder.
And that's the beauty of it.
weirder.
And so you can go on YouTube and you can find these videos. You can go to your website, I'm sure, that has all this stuff.
think so, yeah.
Has some of it at least. And watch him do his thing. It's so good. It's like if Dr. ZAIUS had his own variety show.
Yeah, it's basically
in the 70s.
It's the 70s. Yeah, it's like he's just like an old celebrity that used to do a lot of Merv Griffin and
Yes.
Yes.
And we are going to do an album, and we're doing another show in the spring, and I really love it. It's really ridiculous, only because it's so ridiculous. Like, he'll tell a story. He'll be like, in 1978, I did 3 days on a little movie called Beyond the Poseidon Adventure. You're welcome. You're welcome. And I had stayed. We were shooting nights, and we were at Warner Brothers, and I was driving through the valley, and I had taken something to stay awake. So I was at the corner of Vineland and Dilaudid, if you know what I'm saying. And one thing leads to another, and I kill a homeless guy with my car. Now, I'm one of those people that says that God is everywhere. God is everywhere, and when you least are looking for him, that's when the big guy, the man upstairs, the cat upstairs, and I'm in a panic, and I don't know what to do, and a little voice in my head says, "No one's around. Get the hell out of here." Now that's God talking. That's the main cat. That's the cat in the penthouse.
Now, for listeners who don't know, Dr. ZAIUS is the orangutan.
Yeah.
Our listeners have no idea who
I'm
Dr.
just saying,
ZAIUS is.
It's basically Dr. ZAIUS as Sammy Davis Jr.
Yeah.
Yes. But a little bit of Elvis.
But when you do
recently.
that, wouldn't you say that I'm the ape?
Yeah.
I'm the ape and the big ape upstairs,
Yeah.
or would you?
No, he would say the big ape. No, he's like Sammy. Sammy used to call, Johnny, the man upstairs.
Yeah.
He's not going to call
He's
him
always
the
on the
lawgiver.
road. He's always on the road with me.
Yeah.
The man, and that ZAIUS is totally.
But-
that story ends with him drunkenly driving to Sammy Davis Jr.'s house and running over a statue of Sammy and Peter Lawford. And it was always a joke because I shattered the statue, and it was always a joke that I had with Frank Sinatra was that of all the things Peter Lawford did to him, I was the one who had his legs broken.
Now, every time I see you do that, I think, where is this show? There's got to be some
No, there is.
place where that could be a variety show.
Yeah, no, I think there is. There's some legality. I don't know. Is Disney litigious? I don't.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
Yeah,
Disney
that's right.
owns 20th
Yeah,
Century
Disney
Fox,
owns it
which
now.
made Planet
right
Apes.
now, no one's given us a hard time about it, and we're it's a war of inches. I definitely have a couple of ideas. Definitely going to do something, and then our theory is it's easier to apologize than ask permission.
Sure.
So we're just gonna go till someone slaps us.
Well, you're not competing with another ZAIUS show, right? So, hey,
Well, look, okay, if he was going to dress up
Give
as some
Gould-
kind of a mouse and did the same
Yeah.
thing, when
yeah, they would have. I would think they would have a bigger problem with that. Or
I'm
a
amazed-
Marvel
that
character.
that wouldn't work.
I always think it's amazing when you watch an American Werewolf in London during the transformation scene. They just
Yes.
cut to Mickey Mouse.
Yes.
Yeah.
You would not
Yes.
get to do that today.
No way.
no.
That's the only part of the movie that's not believable was that Disney allowed them to do that.
A lawyer today, a lawyer would appear like out of the
He-Man.
wall, like laughing.
Yeah, right.
And I think Griffin Dunne actually picks up
He
the Mickey. He goes,
David."
"Hi." Yes, he
I know,
does.
it's crazy.
And I remember when I saw that, my first thought was, oh.
Yeah, no, I remember saying that was a really great. But there's also a real moment. That's the brilliance of that movie is that they behave the way you would behave in that situation.
Right, right.
You would 100% do that.
All right, before we use all your time up,
Right. TV horror.
TV horror. You
Or just a
did
TV horror, and I thought, well, there's Charlie's Angels.
wherever you can find them.
Sex and the
But
City.
you did a TV horror show.
Yes, I did.
that was beloved.
Yeah,
by all
it
of us.
was. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
You had lots of fans. When we did
still
the
do.
Comic-Con panel. I mean,
Yeah,
there
no,
were
people liked the
people
show.
dressed up.
Stand Against Evil was a horror comedy or a comedy with horror, however you want to do it. And, it was one of those things. The show, the way I look at it is the show didn't get made. It was just that they just kept forgetting to kill the idea. It was just like, I just kept looking like, really? Okay. All right, then. Your funeral.
My experience working on that show with you It was the most pleasant
Oh, it was fun.
writer's
It was
room
so great.
that I had
Yeah.
ever
So fun.
seen.
It was
To
so
walk into
fun.
a writer's room and everyone is not trying to,
No,
one up
no.
somebody else.
Well, Rob Cohen, who you know, of course,
sure.
who
Friend of the
directed-
show.
Yeah, friend of the show. We had a real simple rule, which was no assholes.
Good.
That's
cool.
And it's a hard.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, it was like 2 minutes in. It's like, you like that too?
Yeah, I know. It's great. It was super. Mike Mendez, it's just like,
wow,
yeah,
yeah.
best
big
guy in
friend of the
world,
show.
best guy in the world.
We love him.
It was fun. I wish I was still doing it, but I'll do something else.
You'll do something else,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But now, from that show, obviously, you're a huge horror nerd,
I
just
am.
like us. What were some of the earlier horror show series that influenced you?
The shaped you.
When I started doing it, and I know you covered this in volume 1 with
That's okay. We've never talked to you.
Soft-spoken wallflower Wally Wingert, and it was amazing that you guys. And hats off to you for getting him to open up. It was like watching Meet the Press in the old days, and he'd really get in there and dig him out. No, I love Wally. I'm teasing.
We love
of course.
Wally.
We all love Wally.
Man, but you get a couple
Cocktails.
pink lemonades in him.
You got some grape juice plus in that already. No, I love Wally. But I wanted the show to look and feel like an early 1970s Dan Curtis TV movie, like
Right.
either The Night Gallery or more specifically, like, I don't even think Dan Curtis did this, but like When Michael Calls.
Oh, sure.
It's on my list. It's one of my favorite TV movies.
No,
of the
I
70s.
love that movie.
I'll tell you a funny When Michael Calls story.
Oh, yeah.
And the first directors were really talented.
Mm-hmm.
They're generation younger, and when I said it's sort of retro, so they came in, so like the 80s, and everything looked like Stranger Things.
Right.
At
Right.
first, and I was like, no.
Right, right.
15 years back. It's all brown and
Right,
avocado
right.
green.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Eben Schletter, who did the music,
Oh,
who's
the music's so good.
flipping
Yeah.
genius.
Yes.
Eben is the kind of person that you just go, I kind of want to like, and
Got it.
got it, yeah,
Yeah.
and he does it.
Right.
I gave him Robert Cobert's The House of Dark Shadows soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
And I said it's this.
Have
And he
that soundtrack.
Got it, and it's just all those xylophone,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it was beautiful. And
Well, plus you have, we all know, like, everybody around here is huge Kolchak fan.
Sure. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think your
he was in the show.
Your show, I think it's the first time I saw a
That's right.
genuine,
Yes.
overt Kolchak
Yes, it was.
which
Yes.
reference, which was like, it was fantastic.
And the day we just put Carl Kolchak.
Yeah, that's
in the tagline. It was like, if they stop us, we'll take it out. But if they don't stop us,
It's
we're,
so great.
we're going.
Hey, people are allowed to dress that way.
People are allowed to dress that way.
Right,
And,
right.
and Rob Cohen and I, the day he shot, we were like 6-year-old kids. We were jumping up and down. And I was taking pictures of the guy. And the guy was great who played him. And,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Just like him in the monitor, like, look at this. This is what the monitor must have looked like when they shot the show in 1974. It's insane. And we brought him back at the end of the episode just because we wanted him there another day. It was
so
really
great.
beautiful.
I mean, that show, the TV movies, of course, I know we've talked about this before, but those 2 TV movies were so good. And the series was different too, but even the series I loved so
Yeah,
much.
But it was
still.
called
The Night's Kolchak.
Kolchak
the
the
Night
Night
Stalker.
Stalker.
Right.
Yeah, and I gotta say, there's something about that character in those movies that is like a security blanket for me. Like if
Yes.
I have all the novels. They made like a bunch of spin-off novels.
Right,
and,
right.
if I'm on the road where I'm really stressed out or whatever, I have one of those books with me. I'll read a page, 2 pages at the end of the day
Right.
before I go to bed. Yeah, I don't know what it is,
Yeah, it's
but
just
it's a very
something-
okay. All right, good. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it just makes
It's like
me
a
happy.
magical thing.
You're 100% correct. I have
It's
no
like-
explanation for it.
Now, are the
whatsoever.
books novelizations of the episodes, or
No,
are they new stories?
New stories.
Well,
and very entertaining.
I had read though before they did the TV series, I think Matheson and William F. Nolan wrote, I think, a completed script for a 3rd TV movie.
The Night Killers.
The Night Killers are going to be androids replicas.
Interesting.
Set in Hawaii.
Instead, they went with the series. We all know the first TV movie, Night Stalker, was
Huge.
biggest ratings grabber of the time.
Right.
And Night Strangler did pretty good too.
Yeah.
So they were deciding what are they going to do, a movie or a TV
And
series?
so maybe one of you gentlemen can answer this question for me, because I think the series started off pretty strong. Mm-hmm. And then it seemed like about halfway through, everyone just kind of went, fuck it.
but wasn't McGavin not very happy with it
except for,
anyway?
Like McGavin was the guy who kept it together.
Yeah, he kept
Yeah.
it together, and he really did. It went, they had 2 producers. It was a nightmare production, just in terms of the producer came and went, and new producer came in. This kind of the focus of the show changed. It was originally sort of this first couple episodes, kind of this light comedy. They had a family in the newsroom. They had that weird nebbishy woman. That was,
right.
And McGavin really liked that, and the network said, no, it's not what this is. You got to dial that back, and he kind of groused. And they're all good, even when they're bad. They're good.
The comedy.
The lizard
love
guy
it.
is the one that I always remember as being
The
really
Sentry.
bad.
That's the last
that's one of my
episode.
favorites.
No, the episode is well written, but the
it's-
scene now it's a little
I can't.
sleaze-tacky.
First of all,
The story's great. The story's great.
The eggs and
the idea of the story is great. The actual story as a script is not so great.
Well, and the
and then-
energy eater is a little
and-
long.
and
but
look-
that costume, come on! Like of all the costumes,
Yeah,
it's
they
like
were-
It's like the
same guy
alligator
who-
people. It's the alligator
Yeah,
people.
exactly.
It was the guy
But
that made
not as good,
Not as
No, the
good,
guy came
though.
and said, "Look, I made the gorilla and Escape from the Planet of the Apes."
That's right. That's gotta be.
No,
Right.
Let's hire him.
I just
Right.
wanted to say, for
I'm a
this-
dragon at the Renaissance Fair. Okay,
Yes.
for
I
this-
just saw Simon Oakland on Perry Mason the other night.
The chemistry between Vincenzo and Kolchak,
Yeah,
even in the
it's a
it's just
beautiful show.
classic.
Perfect.
It's just so funny.
It just makes me happy.
yeah, I
Whenever
agree.
see it.
I agree.
And I just wanted to point out for listeners who don't know, who didn't catch that show, Kolchak the Night Stalker is about.
A reporter named Carl Kolchak, who's sort of like a refugee from the front page, like a real wisecracking. He might as well have a sign in the brim of his
Right, yeah.
He's like, and it's the predecessor of the X-Files. He every week would stumble
Absolutely.
upon a different supernatural story, and
He follows it, and no one really believes
nobody
him.
believes him, and
the TV movies.
nobody
were-
believes him week after week
Yes,
after
yeah.
week.
and
Yeah.
nothing seems to faze him.
No,
Like
no.
he's experienced every type of supernatural horror.
Yeah.
And he's by the end of it, he's like, hey ho! And next day in the office, he's cracking jokes.
But he's always on his own because even by the end, he knows he's solved the case for himself. But
Yeah.
it's always like things have been denied by the police, and it's like he's so
But what
he's
he
so
did
on his own.
But the thing about him, part of the thing that made it so beautiful is like when a monster is coming after him or grabbed him, he'd go, "Bleh!"
Yeah, he would fall
Like,
down.
In the
and
night
like-
song, he falls down.
Yeah.
and
He's genuinely scared.
Drops
Yeah.
a vase.
Yeah, I know it's great.
He's such a ding.
Yeah.
He's
Great.
a ding dong.
But he's so
Entire tray of drinks.
Yeah.
I think that's part of why.
He comes up with the cakes from the number 8. 8 birthday cakes.
He makes that
This is
show.
why we loved him so much as kids. Is
You're
because
right.
Every
So
other 1 hour
much.
drama back then was
Yeah.
tough guys.
And
Yeah.
Tough
yes,
cops.
yes, he was relatable. And here,
100%
I want to
right.
say one thing too: is I'm almost voracious a fan of Columbo as I am Kolchak. And to me, I like to think of talk about like your happy place. To me, I think Kolchak and Columbo live in the same universe because
Oh, I do too. Yeah,
because
I do too,
it's
yeah.
universal. Many of the same sets, the houses, the office buildings, incidental character actors, the music by Gil Malay. I always thought like the episode
Crossover.
the cross, like yeah,
Do you know what a lot of the Night Stalker
Yeah.
cues were taken from
Questor tapes.
Questor tapes?
Yeah.
Boarded Gene Roddenberry pilot.
Yeah.
No.
But like,
Which is a great TV
yes,
movie. By
but like
the way.
when Kolchak was in L.A. to go after the vampire, I always thought he's going to run into Columbo any second. And if
be
Columbo ever went to Chicago, he would run into
There's a
Kolchak.
great episode of Columbo where he goes to visit Susan St. James, and it's just the Brady's house. They didn't change it at all. And then she comes down the stairs, and it's like, this is the fucking Brady's.
Excuse me. Did you kill the Bradys?
Did I just see Davy Jones leave here with an underage girl? Yes, but we can explain it.
How is it possible that he sang at your school?
Somebody had a joke. I don't know who it is. I think it's Anthony Jeselnik. I think it's Anthony who says, my childhood was just like the Brady's. My dad died of AIDS.
I don't know about that.
That's completely legitimate joke.
But I will say this: one thing that I liked about Kolchak the Night Stalker, it wasn't just a guy searching for monsters kind of thing. He always had to at the end he'd be typing, and you'd hear him saying
Yes.
what he was
Yes.
writing, and you had to be a good writer.
Yes.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
made me want to be. If I was not in show business, I would be a reporter. And when I was a kid, I wanted to be a reporter.
Yeah.
Because of Carl Kolchak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I do like the idea of like digging something up and investigating it, getting to the bottom of it. And, he was smart and he was
methodical.
funny
I mean, he would do his research. He would go in and he'd actually figure out what the problem was when people would brush it off. Oh, that was nothing. That was
it was just, like I said, he was always on his own. Nobody was there to back him up. Like
there was no sidekick.
That's the thing too. Like even in the TV movies, he had a love life. I mean, his girlfriend was Carol Lindley in the first film, which people forget about.
It wasn't made clear, but she was a call girl.
Yeah, that's true. She was.
And there's one line that
Vegas
gives it
call
away.
girl.
She goes, "I gotta go. I see him."
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I know. Sad.
I know.
But you know what?
And then he took her on the Poseidon.
And there was no morning after.
Or as
look.
as it was called in Mad Magazine, the poop side down. written by Arnie Kogan, Jay Kogan's dad.
Wow.
Wow.
Now look, you're
Classic show,
You
though.
guys are like saying that the costume isn't that great. I loved everything that they
There
had
were
on
scary
that show.
monsters on that show, though. There were scary ones.
I loved the whole show. And I think it was Barry Levinson wrote Chopper.
Robert Zemeckis and Bob
Zemeckis.
Gale.
Right.
Yeah.
Robert Zemeckis,
And David
Bob Gale,
Chase. David
Barry
Chase
Levinson wrote High Anxiety. Co-wrote High
right.
Anxiety.
And David Chase, who created The
I
Sopranos.
have a story of David Chase was the story editor on that
Yeah.
show. It was his first job.
No.
Yes.
Yep.
And years ago, when I was married to my wife, who worked at HBO, we were going to the Emmys. We were going with a bunch of people that we knew and were friends of ours, and one of them was David Chase's agent, and David Chase was in our little group.
Oh, nice.
And we walked in, and I was walking with him, and I said this to him because it was the truth. And this is at the peak of The Sopranos. Like he had a wagon with him for the Emmys. He was going to win that night.
Of course.
And I said, I wouldn't say this if it wasn't true. I watched the Night Stalker just last night. And he looked at me and he went, "Does it hold up?" He was completely like,
In this house.
he wasn't like, "Oh God."
Right.
He was like, "Does it hold up?" I said, "Yeah, I love it. I watched it." And it's
awesome.
Like, well, that's Simon Oakland, boy. He would really just rip us a new asshole every day.
Really?
Yeah, constantly in character.
So he's like his character, yeah.
Wow.
They've never successfully resuscitated that series.
Well, they
tried, yeah.
Well, they did.
terrible version
Horribly.
of it.
Yeah, they brought it back.
And one of it was an X-Files guy that created it.
Spotnitz.
Frank Spotnitz.
Spotnitz in it, yeah.
Apparently what happened was literally 3 weeks out from the pilot, they was like, "We don't want any monsters in it."
No.
Yes. And he was like,
Unbelievable.
"What?" And by that time the train's on the tracks
That's
and
terrible.
you've got to go. And
Now, you brought up your ex-wife, who, if it's okay, I would like to talk a little bit about, I'd like to jump ahead because you brought her up, True Blood,
yeah, that was hers.
which she got that thing off the ground.
When she was Alan Ball's agent and bought the books for Alan to develop. And he was over our house and he was telling me about the books, and I was like, "Oh, are you a horror movie fan?" He's like, "Not really." And I gave him the David Scal book, and he never opened one.
Yeah.
I gave him
Yeah,
6
yeah,
books, and
yeah.
he never opened it. The minute I saw the fangs come down like snake fangs, I was like, "Oh, he didn't read anything."
Yeah.
See, I didn't mind that, though.
No, he did a great job. I'm not
He
knocking
made it
him.
his own thing, at least.
He
yeah.
absolutely did. And then she was at HBO in between. She bought it for him, and then he brought it to HBO. And then by that time, she was running HBO, so she
Worked
bought
out
it
nicely.
back. Yeah, worked out well.
Yeah. He was a
But
lovely guy.
Al's a great guy, and also wrote American Beauty. And
No.
Classic.
well,
yeah, classic
and,
film.
and super cool. And Game of Thrones is on television because of my ex-wife. So.
Is that right?
Wow.
You heard it here, listeners.
Thank God I got rid of that dead weight.
Now, did you
I know what
ever?
I'm doing. You didn't want to make my show Planet of the Dawn Nazis. I thought it would have been a great
Oh
show.
man, I want to. Yeah, you got 4 viewers right here.
do men have no soul? What's the proof the divine spark exists in the Dawn Nazi brain?
Invade! Invade!
Nip it in the bud.
You only
God, yeah, man.
You know, he was quite.
He's close. James Gregory as Inspector
Oh, my
Luger
God.
is very close to like old Barney Fife.
What a-
How you
what a-
doing, Walter?
What a comedic genius that guy was.
Just a character actor. He's
Holy fuck.
fantastic.
Wait,
yeah.
who are we talking about?
Barney.
James Gregory.
Barney.
James Gregory.
Watching him in
The only good
Barney
human's
Miller.
a dead human
Yeah,
body.
well, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought we were talking about Don Knotts here.
Well, we
How did
jumped the tracks.
We jump around a little bit. Yeah.
We were doing Don Knotts' Ursus, and that got us to James.
Well,
What do you need, a libretto?
No, but James Gregory, Ursus, he's a badass guy.
Yeah, he's
he's not
amazing.
comical.
Well,
you found that funny?
Well, no, but
What,
Don
you're-
Knotts
you're-
doing that was the.
Well,
I can't
sure.
explain-
I mean,
I can't explain jokes to you.
No, but Don Knotts wasn't in the movie.
No, he wasn't.
No.
Hence the humor.
Hence the humor,
fancy.
right? See, we're taking something that's normal and twisting it a little, and
It
then
becomes
hilarity ensues.
Okay.
Holding a mirror up to it.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. I see
But
now.
Don
Right.
Knotts' Ursus. There is some Nazi swagger.
bleeds.
He did it all night.
Yeah, it could really. Your God didn't save you, did he? which is a really fucked up line in that movie. He goes, this is the instrument of my God.
Yeah,
Your
really.
God didn't save you, did he?
No, but,
Oh
okay,
my God, it's my dad.
That's a turning point too
This
for
is-
me when I'm watching that. I'm like, this is not going to end well.
This is,
Yeah,
now we're
yeah,
talking about
right.
Beneath the Planet
Yeah.
of the Apes,
Yeah.
and the scene that you're talking about. That is a great scene.
amazing. One of the
And
most
look,
twisted- one of the most twisted sequels ever.
But
I love that movie.
dude, I went to a private school, and when that moment happened, that was really affected me. You know?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that was.
I saw it on TV and
that's a messed up
ruined
movie.
me.
Oh,
Yeah.
it
And
is.
I watched
It
that as an
is.
adult, and I one of the reasons I love that movie so much is, and this is my favorite kind of thing to do with comedy, it very logically proceeds one step to the next step to the next to a point of complete and total ass backwards insanity.
Yeah, yeah.
But you get there perfectly logically.
Yeah.
Right, right.
No, I bought it all.
Yeah.
I bought it all.
Yeah.
And when I watched that film, by the time you get to the Earth blowing up,
Spoiler.
yeah, by now, come on.
Thanks for coming.
With Paul Frees telling you Earth's dead.
Well, you know, the
The
story
end.
behind that is very interesting.
What do you mean? The story behind it.
Well, here's how, and I'll give you the thumbnail version.
Okay.
Charlton Heston didn't want to do the movie. And
Yes.
he said, well, and they said, well, we can't, and Dick Zanuck, who was running Fox,
Yeah.
said, we can't do it without you. And he said, what if I'm in at the beginning and then you get rid of me? And they said, great. And Charlton said, and, you know, I'm not working, so take the money and give it to the school his son went to, Fraser, which is now Harvard Westlake. It was at the time. the
Oh,
Harvard
really? So he
school.
didn't take actual
Nope, he
paycheck
didn't
for it?
donate his money. Charlton
Wow.
Heston, politically disagree with him, but solid citizen.
Right.
Yeah.
Solid, good American. So, movie develops, and Charlton Heston goes, well, here's, if I come back, and then they said, well, what if you came back at the end? We disappear you at the beginning, we bring you back at the end, your schedule doesn't change. He goes, sure. He gets the script, he goes, what if at the end I blow up, because the original ending was, they blow up the bomb, the innards of the earth are blown apart, the outer shell is fine, the gorillas are destroyed, the mutants are destroyed, the chimps and orangutans let the humans out of their cages. It goes forward a couple hundred years. They're all together in a schoolroom, and there's a hybrid.
Kind of like Battle for
child.
the Battle for the
Yeah, like Battle, yeah.
And that makeup is tested. You could see that.
Yes.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was it.
Yeah.
And then Heston said, well, why don't I blow up the whole world? Because he didn't want them to call them and go, we're doing another movie. No, that's absolutely true. It's like, we're doing another movie. We really need you to...
We
So
have
he's
have this role for an ape in a cage next to you. I want you to play the gorilla.
So you're
So,
saying
and they said, and Ted Post, the director...
if you don't take it, we're giving it to Sal Mineo.
Exactly. and Ted Post, the director, said, "I'm not going to blow up the world. It's the most depressing movie ending in the history of film." And Dick Zanuck said, "Yeah, you're right." So they start making the movie, and what happens is Dick Zanuck gets fired by his father, Daryl Zanuck.
That's right.
In a coup.
That's right. I remember this.
Right. And one of his last actions as he walked out the door was, "Oh yeah, you know what? Blow up the earth."
Oh.
It was just a spiteful F you to his father.
So
Wow.
he did that great ending in spite, despite Bite
That whole
his
ending was that whole ending was to say "F you" to Fox.
Wow.
But it's
And it was
so
basically,
And yet
you
they
won't make any more.
still made a sequel.
Yeah, that's the
because they
brilliant
figured it
thing.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he went and made The Sting and Jaws, so he did okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Two great
people
films.
bag on that movie too,
Which
I
film?
don't know.
Beneath?
Beneath, yeah.
It's insane.
but it's
No, there's
insanely
nothing wrong.
brilliant.
Yeah,
you
no,
know?
I like it. I
Yeah,
like
it's-
it.
There's so many things that like it's almost like
It's
like what do you
bleak.
want for your birthday?
Well, it is-
I want mutants. I want talking apes.
Yeah.
I want
Right.
Yeah, what in a
End
movie
of the
called
earth.
Yeah, what in a movie called Beneath the Planet of the Apes did you want that this doesn't have?
yeah.
Right.
And that's the one thing I was like, even in the bad James Bond movies, like, yeah, but what in a movie about a super agent
Right. Right.
did you not get in this
Yeah,
movie?
yeah, yeah.
There are
Yeah.
absolutely many
Sure.
bad ones.
Sure.
But it's like a bad pizza. It's still
Yeah, it's
pizza.
still pizza.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
exactly.
It's like,
Yeah.
you got Secret Agent, you got Outer
You got
Space,
space, yeah.
big
Right.
guy with metal
Yeah,
teeth.
yeah, you go.
Come
what
on.
don't you want?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Shut up and enjoy.
Right.
The Benicio del Toro, the Wolfman. I was like, it's called the Wolfman. It's about a man who turns into a wolfman. He does. $6. That's happy. Come on.
Yeah.
It's the Wolfman.
Yeah, it's the Wolfman.
Just
Is
shut
it
up
a
and
great
enjoy-
movie? No, do I enjoy myself? 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did enjoy it.
Now we're getting back to TV.
Okay.
Getting back to the werewolf, Kolchak the Night Stalker.
Oh, yeah.
Eric Braeden.
Starring Eric Braeden from Beneath
right.
the Planet, from Escape from the Planet. of
That's
the Apes.
right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
All full circle. All comes back to Kolchak.
Dr.
Now,
Otto,
what was-
Dr.
what-
Otto Hauslein.
What was the first horror TV that you
The
can
Night
remember?
Gallery, and it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
My mom let me watch it. It was on Monday nights on
It
NBC.
was scary.
That did
It
scare
really-
me.
was.
The music is scary. And
Yes.
the opening-
Joe Malay.
The credits alone, I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah, yeah.
Done.
We were very young.
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
was, that really and I'd heard about it. Like my brother told me about the Elsa Lanchester one.
Oh, that one.
And no, my friend, my best
Freaked me the fuck
my
out.
best friend, Alan Anderson, who lived across the street from me, who I am still friends with, told me about the Elsa Lanchester one.
Green
Like,
Fingers.
Green
Green
Fingers.
Fingers,
And then
yeah.
like I saw it like a year later, and it was like, shit, he was right.
And Green Fingers is about.
It's about a woman who
He's a very good gardener.
She's a very good gardener, and there are some evil people that want her land. 'cause
Cameron
they
Mitchell.
Yeah, and they want to use her land to, build apartments or a building or something. And she just denies them. She's like, no, I love my house, I love my garden, and I'm staying.
She can grow anything.
She can grow anything. She has green fingers. Anything that she plants grows. Well, they come after her and they eventually aren't playing games anymore. And at one point, she's dying, but she has a finger that they've cut off and she's burying it. So the mobster guys come back to the house and they find her, or what looks like her, in a rocking chair. And they do a nice slow tilt up from her feet to the rest of her body, and you see these little roots sticking out of her legs.
Really good.
And it's very simple, but it's such an effective
Yeah, she
moment.
grew from
And
that
she
finger.
says, everything I plant grows, even me.
Even me, which is like such a perfect kind of EC.
Yeah. Oh, it's
And-
beautiful.
yeah,
it's like,
classic,
it's like
classic.
Tales of the Crypt.
Yeah.
It's
So
really,
great.
really terrific. It's
Yeah,
just-
I love that one.
I'm talking about early horror series. Doing some research. Lights Out, 1946. That seems to be like maybe one of the first.
Wow, Lights
horror
Out, which
series.
was the Arch Obler radio show.
Yeah, and they adapted it, I guess, into
Like an
an
anthology?
early live TV television show.
Live.
I think so, yeah. And like Alfred Hitchcock Presents, The Veil, Thriller, Way Out. Those are all a lot of the earlier
Veil.
shows. The
Not-
Veil,
not Veal.
The Veil, the Veil.
Although that can be
The Veil
scary
can be
too.
scary though.
Poor lamb.
Yeah,
And
Let
there was
that
all
poor
those,
calf out.
but they were like anthologies. That was
all
seemed to
those
be-
amazing anthologies. So I was like, to me, like video comfort food is like Twilight Zone, Outer Limits,
Right.
Thriller,
Right.
Alfred Hitchcock Presents.
Do you know Way Out?
No, I know One Step Beyond.
Well,
right,
and
that was-
not just the Madness song.
right. One
that was a good
Beyond.
that One Step Beyond was a good show.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And
It wasn't always overtly
great-
supernatural.
It wasn't, and it wasn't. Not all of them were great, but there were a couple that I really enjoyed. Like
Yeah.
there's one with like a cursed necklace that will choke you when you put it on, and then people would throw it off, and you'd see the necklace like almost like biting like pinchers.
Oh, wow. That's
nice little
fantastic.
simple effect. you know?
Sure.
And there's one about a clown in a circus who gets revenge because there's a girl that he likes in the circus and she gets killed. And so the clown is framed for murder, but while under house arrest, he's able to magically stalk and kill the real murderer. It's fantastic. So, I mean, that was a great show. But Way Out was Roald Dahl.
Right.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
And he introduces the show. And I just discovered the show. And I watched a couple.
Author of James and the Giant Peach.
That's correct.
Right.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
And the screenwriter of You Only Live Twice.
There you go.
Yeah.
And the puncher of Patricia Neal, apparently.
He punched Patricia Neal.
They were married. And
Oh, really?
I was about to say.
Well, we don't want to
Well,
get
what'd she say?
exactly.
We don't want to.
We'll
We don't
never
want to
know.
get into that, like who said what. Or, but
I don't have that information anyway.
But getting
so.
back to your TV
No,
show.
it's. I watched a couple episodes, and now I need to see all of them. And
Way Out.
It's called Way Out.
Way Out.
And
It's called Way Out.
It's called Way Out, and it was 1961. There's an episode of Way Out called False Face that I watched. It was the first one I watched, and it's about this actor played by Alfred Reiter, who was also in Star Trek.
James.
In,
Of course.
the Man Trap.
Man
Man
Trap,
Trap.
yes.
Oh, is he the doctor?
Yeah, and so
you, Jim, she hasn't aged.
nice, very good. There's your next one man show.
Yeah, she has, Bone.
An evening with DeForest Kelly.
She's hideous, Bone. She looks like a toe. The sand monster looks better. Let's be honest. When women grow old, it disgusts me. When they have the audacity to age. I have to say, very briefly, we were Halloween decorations. We were going to CVS, me and Kat, my adult female social companion. And she goes, she's looking at the Halloween decorations. She goes, these are the big three, like, scary things, like zombie, skeleton, and then old woman.
Oh,
Like, not even a witch. She's just an old woman. How dare she?
Every middle-aged man's Freddy Krueger. They haunt you in your dreams.
How dare you?
Look at your future.
I mean, we laugh, but it says it says something about
It's
the
awful.
whole- yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
anyway,
I don't know
so-
why they didn't say.
So this Way Out
But I
episode,
like that my girlfriend's fun.
the premise of this episode was there's this actor who is playing Quasimodo, and he comes upon this.
One of the worst Aurora kids. Let's just
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I still like it. You gotta paint it right to make
Yeah,
it
that's
work.
true.
Yeah, but so he's playing Quasimodo, and he's one of these method actors who wants to have his makeup help him fulfill
Right.
the character, and so he finds this guy who's horribly disfigured. And he wants to.
I'm
He hires this guy with brandy, and gets him to come over so he can copy his
Right.
deformity. Right. So he gets the makeup done. He does the show. It's a smash hit. And then after the show, he realizes now he can't get the makeup
it's
off.
Like, it's like Masks.
Yeah,
Twilight Zone.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
his
yeah.
skin. It's his skin though. Now it's
Right.
not even. It's not
Right.
even anything you can even try to pull off.
Right.
And so he goes looking for the guy, and I'm going to give you a spoiler because it's a fun ending. So he's trying to find the guy because he wants to figure out what happened. He finds the guy. The
Guy
guy's
looks like
dead,
him?
and he looks
Oh.
like him.
Yeah.
But it was fun. The makeup is brilliant.
Oh, Chad sounds
yeah.
great.
And
Is he like when he was sculpting? Is it because you look hideous? Like this.
well,
is great.
actually, there are scenes like that
Yeah,
where the
yeah,
guy's like
like-
saying, "Well, this isn't a great time for me either. I mean, this is what my life has been like. But
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
But there's
Way out.
and I watched like a little bit of another one where there's a guy goes to a sideshow and there's a woman with like a light bulb for a head, and I'm like, I love this show. This is going to be my new favorite show.
Way Out.
Way Out.
Oh man.
Way Out.
Is there a show on now? Because all of this is like thriller, and I just
Thriller's great.
well, also there's something about up to about 1966, black and white, and the hairstyles of the time,
Yeah.
Right.
and the wardrobe of the time. It gives it a timelessness,
Yeah, it
that
does.
then goes away for about 30 years.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
the Twilight Zone is not nearly as dated as the Night Gallery,
True.
which is
That's true.
not as
Yes.
old.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
And black and white really does help.
Black and white helps. In
Yeah.
the early 70s, it's just like, you
Well-
know, Bert Convy is the devil.
But Dana,
Host of
when
Tattletales.
more people they wanted to sell color TV sets, and
Sure,
so it
well,
was
that's why-
in
yeah.
your best interest to say on your program in color.
color,
You know,
I mean,
hey,
you're right.
What's best for horror? Overlight it.
Right, right. Well, that's
To-
why
to the
Star
point-
Trek,
yeah.
you know, at the time, part of the reason that saved it for the third season, in addition to the fan stuff, was that RCA, I believe it was RCA that owned NBC at the
Yeah.
time, wanted to sell color televisions.
Yeah.
And it was the
colorful
most
show, yeah.
colorful show. That's why they
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
it was
Blue
beautiful.
gel. Yeah.
And they
Sort of
did really do a good job
Yeah,
with,
they
the
did.
color,
Yeah.
with
Well, that was-
utilizing color.
That is what is amazing about the continuing voyages, the fan series. out
Yes.
of-
Yes.
Yeah.
Star Trek
That-
continues.
the lighting
continues.
really makes it.
They do an amazing
do a fantastic
gosh
job.
darn
Yeah.
job. Yeah.
It's like
and that
watching
guy-
the lost scripts of Star
It
Trek.
is, and the guy that plays Kirk manages to play Kirk without playing Shatner.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're right.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
And what we're talking about for listeners, if they're not sure, this is a fan produced thing.
It's a fan-produced
Yeah.
series
And
called
they
Star
built-
Trek Continues.
They built an actual Star Trek Enterprise set.
it's like the original classic
gorgeous.
series.
and
That's- yeah.
and everyone is in the classic costumes.
And the writing's good. It's like the
And
old
it-
show.
And
It's-
James Doohan's son is
Plays
Scotty.
Scotty,
Scotty, yeah.
And it's not. This is not
And
cheap.
Alan Yang plays Spock, I think. No, I'm kidding.
No, but it's like it's not cheap. And
no,
it's
it's well
really-
done.
And,
Yeah.
it's also not fan produced in the sense where bad sound or bad. No,
No,
it's like
yeah,
a
very well
professional.
done.
It's great.
Yeah.
But Dana, didn't they have some issues because it was so good and they made several episodes? Didn't Paramount go, hey, wait a minute, and there's a new rule,
Well,
right?
they did scroll. I don't. There's actually a woman on the show that is a friend of a friend that I'm going to try to get on my podcast, and I'll hip you to her that would have the inside
Please.
scoop. Yes, they came down on them for something, and I don't know what.
right.
But it was
Maybe
it
because
might
the
have been-
show was
I
better than
think-
all the movies.
No,
I think it had something to do with Discovery. I think when they went back into TV.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, if people are going to be streaming Star Trek, they're going to be streaming what we make, not what you make.
Well, and then the other thing too is because it was so good. Because it was so
great.
good, and it got to the point where it wasn't just one episode, 3 episode,
No, they
9.
made like 6 or 7 episodes.
Yeah,
They're all really good.
Yeah, they're all really good, and it got to the point where you're basically creating this content that we own.
Right,
you
right,
know?
yeah,
right.
yeah.
And it kind of makes you wonder, gee, wouldn't it have been neat if Paramount got behind making
Let 'em
another
do it. Yeah,
Star
yeah,
Trek,
they should have-
or
right,
let them
right.
do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
How about that? That would have been great. What if
Yeah.
you made Star Trek look like Star Trek?
Ooh.
Yeah, and not Game of
Not a
Thrones,
casino.
too. Yeah, or I tried to watch Discovery. I got CBS All Access. I got about 5 or 6 in, and then I just said, "All right, you win. I'll stop."
I watched the whole
I'm
first series.
confused.
Dana.
I'm confused enough.
Dana,
Yeah.
you are a Star Trek fan.
I am.
No,
Yes.
now what was it? See, for me, I didn't like that. I've always liked getting my Star Trek, for
Yeah.
free, and now I have to go.
I didn't mind paying for it, but I didn't like. To me, it was so clearly, we're gonna make it like Game of Thrones. We're gonna introduce you to people and then kill them, and everybody's gonna be evil. And there was what it didn't have.
Yeah,
to
it's
me,
not Star Trek.
It didn't have Star Trek sense of optimism and
Yes.
and daring do. It was
Yeah.
Game of Thrones. Like, no, he's an asshole. She's an asshole. The mirror universe assholes. He's a double asshole. And it
Also, the lead is not my favorite actor, Sonequa Martin Green.
no. I just kept going.
So-
I kept wig.
It's a lot of indicating all over the place, in my
I
opinion.
just didn't. I didn't.
Doug Jones is brilliant, I think.
Doug Jones is great, but I couldn't get behind any characters. And I heard it was better.
It gets a little better when they go to the mirror universe and they add. There's some things that are explained that's kind of fun, but then they go back to, well, that's ridiculous. Why Starfleet would never do that? I mean, all over the place.
It's all over the place, and it just didn't. And I heard it got better when Christopher Pike came on board.
Watch the first one.
now
We'll see.
What
but I
get-
was just like, tell the adventures of Christopher Pike on the Enterprise.
Do that. Yeah.
Yeah, really.
because
That'd be
does it
great.
sometimes seem like are people who like Star Trek doing these? That's the thing that gets me.
No, I think it's
well,
to me,
originally-
it's like the movies. It's like we own Star
Fuller
Trek.
is a big Star Trek fan.
I guess, but to me, the movies. Look, we got Star Trek, and those people come, but we need to get more people. So, can you make it like Fast and Furious Star Trek?
Yeah.
What you do is you just alienate both audiences.
Right,
Sure.
right.
Well, and then,
Congratulations, it's a movie for nobody.
Yeah.
yeah, I just don't get it. And the other thing that always annoys me is that, okay, can we please stop with the technology before the show that we know has less technology and you've got more?
right.
What if you played it like, I thought Enterprise did a pretty good job with when they wanted to pull another ship, they actually shot like a cord.
Yeah.
There you go.
I just don't. I mean, I understand it. I'm in the business, and I know, but it's misguided. And I had this conversation today about horror comedy, and it was like, has one ever broken through? I was like, no. Well, people like it, but not everybody likes it. So you're gonna get, if you do it well, you will get an audience that and you will make a profit. But no, you're not gonna be friends. It's just never going to happen.
Right.
Well, another thing too is you need to give it time to.
We can't. Why make money if we don't make all the money?
You have to create a show that's good that starts. If the first people that start watching it, it has to grow. You know, I mean, you develop these fans and a fan base, and then you come back for the next season, and your fan base grows.
Yeah. I mean, I will say it can be done well. The Watchmen, I thought, did it well. I got hooked in and
Mostly.
I came
I
back.
haven't watched
and-
it yet.
Yeah, I could have been told in 4 episodes.
Yeah, but it wasn't bad. I mean, it wasn't.
It wasn't bad.
And one thing that the Watchmen had that Star Trek didn't have was, boy, if Gene Smart was the captain of the Enterprise, I'd have watched it.
Oh, yeah.
Not everybody is earnest and dour and grim and
Yeah.
she's people are funny in life. People have levity in their daily doings.
Well, it's what John Landis said about American Werewolf in London, which is that the reason why there's so much humor in that movie is that people are funny.
Yeah,
And
because
that-
people are funny. Yes.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Hello, David. Yeah. People are funny, and they just behave normally, and that's what I stole from John, lock, stock, and barrel, in Stand Against Evil. And I told him, and he laughed.
Steal from the best.
Yeah,
They love
it's
it.
like, it's the American Werewolf in London model. And then I was on my high pedestal going, and this is how you do horror comedy, and it's the only way you can do it. And then I saw What We Do in the Shadows, and I was like, fuck you! You proved me wrong on every single point. That show's great.
That is a great show.
That
to see the
is
series. I
funny
gotta see that.
stuff.
Oh, it's just great.
What
I
we do in
love
the
it.
and for people who don't know, What We Do in the Shadows
So
is
good.
about it's.
But a group of vampires that live in a house, and it breaks every precious rule I constructed for the writers of Stand Against Evil, and it does it brilliantly, and it proves that I don't know what I'm doing, and they're great.
No.
Apples and oranges.
No.
Yeah, it's apples
Yes.
and oranges. but
Yeah, and that show is about a documentary crew filming vampires, their daily lives, and it's a spin-off from
The film.
the,
The
movie,
film,
which
the
is
original
also-
movie, which is also
which
great.
Doug Jones is in.
Yeah, and again, the brilliant Doug Jones.
Yeah.
But another example of excellent TV horror.
But
Yeah.
it's funny too.
Do you watch the show?
Yeah. But what's funny, I think, is when you think of vampire, you have this vision of like Christopher Lee and maybe like glamorous, and these vampires aren't really what you would think as being
No,
in that model.
they look like The Cure now.
Right.
And there's so many things that hit me as authentic that you never really see in other vampire shows. Like, if you're kind of a pompous dick in real life, you're going to be that as a vampire.
Yes, it's great.
Right.
Yeah, and the movie, I tell you, the movie, the scene in the movie that really nailed it for me was when the director, who's also in the movie and directed Jojo Rabbit too, Taika Waititi, he also directed Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's a really brilliant director, and he's outside looking up at the woman's apartment. There's just this old lady, but you realize that it's his love from
Yes,
when they were
yeah.
young, and he's still in love with her.
Yeah.
And it was just like, yeah, they would have that problem.
Right.
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
Oh, well, speaking of vampires in TV horror,
Okay. Go.
when it originally aired,
Tim Burton's brilliant movie Dark Shadows.
but when it originally aired, were you a Dark Shadows viewer? Were you a fan?
Well, I was a little too young for it. I remember watching it when it was on originally, but I was literally 4 and 5 years old.
Right. Yeah, I think we're about. But then as
yeah.
it
But it
went
was
on,
very popular in my home. I grew up in a little town in Massachusetts that looked like Collinsport. I lived on Cemetery Street.
Ooh. Wow.
Really?
We would play.
That's awesome.
One of the games that we would play as kids was we would go to the cemetery that was at the end of the street and play Dark Shadows. No. Yep, there was a mausoleum that looked like the mausoleum
my
in
God.
Dark
Wait,
Shadows.
Wait. So it was popular in your home,
Yeah, my brother, because I had older brothers that watched
and they
it.
liked it.
Yeah, they liked it.
So they
Interesting.
dabble a little bit.
Oh,
in that.
totally. Yeah,
Okay.
totally. Yeah, no, that's all right.
But you ran around in a real graveyard?
every day. Yeah, no, it was closer than the park, and we would just ride our bikes down to the cemetery. Where you going? Down cemetery.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And there was, my mother still has it. It was from like 1973, an article in our local newspaper that said Hopedale Village Cemetery, place where children play. Because there was a big baby boom in our neighborhood. There was
Yeah.
a giant pack of kids, like 12, 14 of us.
Right.
And every day we would just go to the cemetery.
If you were dying and you were planning what you were going to do with where you were going to be,
I would
either
want to be
buried-
in that cemetery, surrounded by life.
And why not have like a mausoleum that was like a kid's playground?
Yeah, oh, look,
Right,
the
right.
mausoleum that we would go to, and I was just there driving through it about 2 months ago. Still there, all the people, and we would go to the cemetery and play Dark Shadows. And then when it came back on in 1975, it was syndicated in.
that's when a lot of people
Boston.
became familiar with
That's
it.
when I really started watching it.
Yeah.
and loved it. Loved it.
I was baffled by it at
like
first.
the Night Gallery, it's better in theory than in practice. You know,
Yeah.
Well, it started out not as overt horror either. It was like
Yeah,
gothic, romantic.
They had to do 5 episodes a week, so God love them.
Yeah.
They can't move that. The story's not going to be moving like a freight train.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know, it's not like a dragnet.
Yeah.
Right, right.
But no, I love the idea. And there's a really Wallace McBride who runs the Collinsport History website and Instagram, and he called it Star Trek for introverts. and, you know, and it's really true. You know, it's kind of like Star Trek, but it all basically takes place in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a couple
It's
of
true.
houses.
Yeah.
And at night, there's a very insular feel to it.
It's true.
Yeah, but again, it's the Dark Shadows stories play in your head better because you can move the action along a little bit.
I will say that watching it, and I love
John
Jonathan
Carlin
Frid.
just passed away, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Really
Yeah.
Loomis. We
Yeah.
just lost him.
Yeah.
Really good actor.
Yeah,
he was.
He was
in-
great. Yeah.
Also in Trilogy of Terror, won the Emmy for Cagney and Lacey.
Sure. Yeah.
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 And Jonathan Frid, there was nobody better at seeming like they're hitting a dramatic moment when they're really just trying to remember their lines.
No, it's true.
He was
Yeah.
so great at that.
He acted the way Sid Vicious played bass.
Yes.
His inability to do it made it brilliant.
Yeah. Exactly. He looked fabulous. Yeah. But what I didn't understand is when Angelique shows up, who is this witch.
Who's
Right.
still around? Laura Parker.
Yeah, Laura
And
Parker.
we
The Trevi
almost-
collection.
We almost in the Night Stalker, and we almost had her on Standing Against Evil.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
was, I
wow.
just couldn't.
She's in one of my favorite
I
horror
could not
films.
pay her what she was worth, and I
okay.
didn't insult her with the offer.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
oh, really?
Yep.
But she's in Race with the Devil too. Of
course, yeah, she's
one of my
great.
favorite movies.
Yeah.
But I remember when she shows up in that storyline, and everyone's so afraid of her, and I was just like, just give in to her. What are you, crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you want?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just see where this goes.
Yeah, and they're bringing Dark Shadows back
Again?
Yeah, it's coming back.
Yeah.
But I
Is
heard
it serious?
you might not like it. But this is what I know. It's serious. I believe it's on the CW. It is, and it's going to be CW, but it will probably not please you. It's not aimed at you.
Yes,
or
true.
me, But the lead, it takes place in the generation after the show.
Okay.
It's a young girl who lives in the town of Collinsport. She's adopted by this family. She finds out that she's a Collins, and then all this stuff turns against her. Barnabas is in the show, but he's not the star, and he doesn't show up right away. So what I like about it is they didn't just reboot. They thought of
It's a little different
way in.
Do they disregard the 80s reboot?
I think it's all
probably.
disregarded. Yeah, and I hope. There's a rumor that like maybe Catherine Lee Scott or David Selby would be in it. I hope they are. I think
Oh
that's
yeah,
great.
that'd be great.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Interesting.
know very little about it, but I know a little about it, and I hope it's good.
So when it comes to vampire things now, we touched a little bit on True Blood. First of all, I know you weren't a giant fan of that.
I wasn't not a fan, but I was at the time True Blood was on. I was working full time on The Simpsons, and
Okay.
I had infants.
Sure.
So
you didn't.
my TV viewing took
I
took
get
a
it.
dent.
I thought it was a really fun show for about 4 seasons, and then it kind of lost its way.
That's pretty good. 4 seasons, pretty
Yeah,
good. Yeah.
no,
and those are also 22 episode seasons. It
Yeah,
wasn't like-
no, but I did enjoy it. My wife, we both
Yeah, you
watched
guys
it all
liked
the
it.
time.
Yeah, you guys liked it, yeah.
And so since then, there have been a few more vampire shows, and I know that for a while your daughter was a big fan of the Vampire Diaries.
Yeah, Vamp
Did you ever
Diaries.
watch that?
I did, and the Vampire Diaries is just to me crappy teen True Blood.
Okay.
Like when it came on, I was like, they're just doing True Blood.
There was nothing that made it really stick out as something new or different.
No,
or,
but my kids loved it, and in the same way of
like Twilight kind of a thing.
Or Stranger Things or something like. I mean,
Well, I'd put that in a different box. But the other thing I was going to say is, all these shows that are just The Walking Dead, Black Summer, and it's just like
Summer,
there's a show
another
called
one.
Black Summer that's The Walking Dead, just like The Walking Dead, and people still watch it. And I'm like, I wouldn't have the cojones to pitch that, just to walk into the room and go, it's a group of people fighting zombies in the zombie apocalypse.
It is kind of
Wow.
amazing that these things
like
get
the
greenlit.
the-
Z Nation, which is sci-fi, which
Yeah.
I watched the first episode of it, and I kind of liked it. I'll give that show at least credit for the zombies are viral zombies. They're fast.
Yeah.
And I know, Larry, we've had this discussion over and over again, but
Larry loves fast zombies.
No, we're not going to beat a dead horse here.
but the fast zombies are scarier. I'm sorry, but when you got a bunch of people running at you, like that scares the fuck out of me.
You just doing it now scared me.
Well, there you are. And the
cat's favorite movie, 28 Days Later.
Yeah. It sounds just like that.
Yeah, although I would, if she likes that, I would push her to Train to Busan.
Yeah,
Because that's one of
that's a
the
good
most
one, yeah.
brilliant horror movies in
all right.
the past 20 years, I think.
Yes. Also, it's not a horror movie, but never mind. Never mind. I have nothing to add.
All right.
But today, look at
I was thinking of The Host and
that's,
Bong Joon-ho.
that's a horror movie.
Yeah, but the guy that made The Host made Parasite.
Well,
But
that's
he didn't
that's
make
definitely
but he-
a horror movie.
But he didn't make Train to Busan. So I was like,
Oh, I see.
This movie
Well,
also has Asian
they,
people.
They know each
So
other.
there has to be the same guy. I love my favorite line of Parasite is when the guy just goes, respect. It's so insane.
I love that movie.
That movie's fantastic.
Yeah, I thought it was like a mixture of like The Grifters and Bad Ronald.
It was so beautiful. Oh, that's good. The weird thing about Parasite is I remember being the family.
Oh,
the rich family. Like,
Yeah.
like there was a time when we were pretty like, I was on The Simpsons. My wife was the president of HBO. We had the big house, kids, every day, new people showing up. Well, who's that person doing? It's the wallpaper coach. He's helping the wallpaper.
teach them a language.
Yeah. No, it was all bizarre and it was all insane. And I took care of that. Trust me. But yeah, no, there was a time when I was watching that, and I said to my ex-wife, with whom I'm very, very close still, I said, "Did you like the movie?" She goes, "Yeah." I go, "What family did you relate to?" And she just went, "Shh." Yeah, but it's great. Yeah, The Host is a great.
The Host is great.
Trying to think of a
Yeah.
great vampire movie.
I know that there's a new
there's a-
Dracula one, right?
Yeah, and
there's
there
a
was
new Dracula
series,
show.
There was a series called Moonlight, done in like 2007, which was kind of like basically there's a show called Forever Night.
I was going to bring that up.
which I like that show. It was
Was
a
it Dracula as a cop?
Yeah, but there was a TV movie with Rick Springfield called
Right.
Nick Knight, and they made a series based on that, not with Rick Springfield, but called Forever Night, and it was a good. It was a Canadian show. It was on for like
That's
a few
how
seasons.
Nick at Night started?
Nick it was Nick Knight, and then became Forever Night. Yeah, Nick and Night. Right. But yeah, that was not a bad show.
Forever Night was fun.
Yeah, I liked that show.
I mean, it was
good.
it was exactly what you
Yeah,
expected.
but
it
the
to be.
character were
Yeah.
well drawn characters, and it was well done. But not the show. A series that I've not seen, but you have, which you liked, was The Strain.
The Strain. See, the first episode that I saw, the pilot, I was not crazy about because there was a lot of overacting, and that makes me check out.
I couldn't get into that movie because of the posters.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
like,
there's
okay.
controversy over that.
Yeah,
The eye, right?
Yeah, I was like, stop.
he hates
He
eye.
hates eye.
He hates anything that has to do with an
It's
eye.
like, have you seen the poster for the Goop Lab?
No.
What's that?
These are billboards, and again, I'm going to sound like Statler and Waldorf, but the posters for the Goop Lab are Gwyneth Paltrow standing in front of a giant vagina.
What?
Look it up,
Wow.
and it's just like,
Is it supposed to be a vagina?
yeah, I mean, it's not a photo of a vagina, but it's unmistakable for what it is, and it's just like, okay.
How do we stop her?
Well, apparently according to this billboard, she's been shrunken down and shoved in someone's vagina. So it was just like the weirdest.
Finally, the
remake-
right project.
The weirdest remake of Fantastic
goodness.
Voyage.
Wow. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Okay.
like some flowers.
You know what
placed
happened
in-
was that was like Friday at 5:00, and what if she's standing in front of a giant vagina? It's like, and the head of the department goes, "That's the worst idea we've ever had.
Do it."
Let's start fresh on Monday." And then, over the weekend, that guy got killed, and the guy whose idea it was replaced him.
Right.
If only it were that logical, though.
Yeah, I know. And again, I'm just like, okay.
Let's spin the wheel of ideas.
But you liked the strain.
What I did is I kind of fast forwarded my way to the latter episodes. The first few episodes were just so slow, and that kills me too. It's just like, you don't need to tell this story this slowly. Let's get to it.
Yeah.
And when they finally got to it, it got a little fun. It's still not my favorite thing, though.
What I would like to tell, and what I thought a good take on the Dark Shadows movie would have been, but it would have needed to have been with another director, was the family knows that he's a vampire and they know that he kills people, but they're in financial trouble and he has a lot of money. And if we look the other way, maybe he can get rid of these people that are giving us a hard time. And it's about how you lower your standards when it's advantageous to you.
Sure. Yeah.
And how when you live with an addict, it's a great analogy to our country today. You know, you just keep moving the bar a little bit to allow for the crazy behavior of the president or whoever. You know, I thought that would be an interesting story. And then in the third act, there's like, we got to kill Uncle Barnabas. This is just
Right. I think it's too far. Right.
Yeah. Well, it's like and it was I mapped it out. It was like he did this, and then he killed Carolyn. And like what?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, you knew I was a snake when you let me in.
Well, right. Yeah.
You know, and it's what Trump's telling the Republicans now. You knew what I was.
Well,
Yeah,
and
really.
any show or movie that has some sort of curse or pact with the devil where you like, okay, you know now, you have been shown that these entities, the devil exists, so you're going to make a deal with him, and the deal is everything's going to be great for a while, and then you're going to die, and it's going to be horrible throughout eternity.
Right.
I just don't really think that most people would go for that.
Right.
I never read the fine print.
But then, you know, I look at the world and then I go, well, maybe they would.
Yeah. I was talking about this today. You know,
To quote King of Comedy, better king for a day than schmuck for a lifetime.
but I don't know if that's true.
I don't agree.
Yeah. Lifetime's pretty good.
I'd like maybe 3 days.
Yeah.
Maybe 5.
And it's the one thing that's always true is that there is an unintended consequence, and you don't know exactly how things are going to unfold ever. In 1986, there was a reader's poll in People magazine for the most respected man in America, and it was Bill Cosby. We thought we knew.
Sure.
Yeah,
who
exactly.
This guy was.
You never know.
We were wrong.
When the
Yeah.
rug's
We
pulled
didn't
out from
know.
under you.
Wow.
Well, and there's also that thing, too, where people are just so arrogant that they think that I'm sure a lot of people going into a deal with the devil would get to this place where they go like, look, I'm just going to fuck him over at the end because I'm smarter than he is.
Yeah.
I just wonder if a guy
Outsmart the devil.
Yeah.
Or if a guy has a deal with the devil and he gets the contract and he gives it to his lawyer and the lawyer just makes a couple of notes like, all right, I went back to them on a couple of things.
You got parking.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get your money up a little bit.
Parking would have been a good deal, though.
I know how much
especially
you
in this
like.
town.
I know how much you like parking. Yeah.
You're right.
That's always been my thing too about just the devil in general, which I'm sure better thinkers than I have come up with this. But the idea that like the whole origin story of the devil is that he's got a bunch of angels with him, and they live in heaven with God, and God has created everything and knows everything that's going to be and ever was, and a bunch of these guys get together and they're like, God, I think we can take him.
If you spend more than 30 seconds on that story, it falls apart. Yeah, they didn't really
Hit him from behind. Oh, no.
Well, I don't know if this is George Carlin or not, but it was like, it's the Bible has all the answers. It was written by a bunch of old men who didn't know where the sun went at night. Let's gotta break this down.
Well, remember, there's that great classic Star Trek episode with Space Seed where Khan says, "Have you ever read Milton?"
Right, yeah.
And the quote
Sure.
from Milton is, "Better to rule in hell than to serve in heaven." So.
Well, it wasn't really that bad of a deal for the devil that he gets kicked out, but he still gets a place.
Yeah, he gets his
Yeah.
own place.
And you've said, I think, he has more fun, I think.
Well, I
could have sworn you said that. Did
probably,
you say that?
Probably. Like I always got the if you
It's a very Matt thing to say.
if you ever watched the show or read the book Good Omens.
Yeah.
The book especially gets into this place where, it's this friendship between an angel and a demon. And
Is that the one with the Doctor
David
Who
Tennant?
guy?
Yeah,
I did,
it's
right.
great.
Yeah.
It's so good. And in the book, they're having this little discussion about whose music is better. And the angel's bringing up all these classical composers, and the devil's just like, "There's no way. You don't have a leg to stand on here. Clearly, we have the best music." Yeah. Okay, well, in this same vein, Supernatural. Have you guys ever watched that show?
Yeah,
That is a
that's
long-running
running show. I've
A
not
long-running
yet
show. Gigantic fan base.
My daughter adores it. My oldest daughter's still angry with me that I did not cast Jim Beaver as Stan. And he read for Stan. Well, he didn't have to read for it because he's a Jim Beaver, but he was just the wrong kind of guy. Stan is my dad. He's fast talking,
Right.
acerbic, and his energy is very slow and laconic, and he's too warm. I mean, Stan's an asshole.
Yeah.
Right.
And I never bought Jim Beaver, but I became friends with him, and it's one of this. I've told him this repeatedly. It was like, it's like you weren't the guy.
Yeah.
You were great, but the character was not the right one.
I had never watched the show for all the years
my daughter
it was
loved
on, and I watched the pilot today,
Oh wow!
and I thought it was not bad.
No, it's
There were some good scares a couple times. There were some jump scares too, some cheap jump scares, but there was some visuals that were kind of arresting, and it's interesting to see like Jeffrey Dean Morgan playing a good guy.
Right. Did you guys ever discuss the X-Files? It was a popular show.
Yes.
Not familiar.
Well, but we did
it's
it
a
with
spelling
It
show?
was a long time ago, though.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
The X-Files.
We had this guy Dean Haglin.
I
on.
love Dean.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
You got me into the X-Files.
especially the standalone episodes. That's
Sure.
where it
But
really
I'm
takes
talking about
off.
first season.
Yeah, first season.
Because that was 93. And
it's created by Chris Carter.
Right, right.
And 93, I was on the road, pedal to the metal. And,
Sure.
And you was like, have you seen the X-Files? I was like, I haven't had time to watch anything.
Yeah, I thought it was a love letter to you.
Yeah. And you're like, you have to watch
Yeah.
this show. And the first episode I saw was I think it was called 13. It was The Witch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, this show's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that first season is pretty solid.
Yeah.
With the scares especially.
You know,
And you go back now and look at it, and you're like, it's about two toddlers that are in the FBI. Like, they look so young.
Remember when she used to eat?
This has been a baby and her friend, and they're in the FBI.
You know, it's funny that you said that Matt told you about it, and my father-in-law actually had watched it because it was a Fox show.
It was like the best kept secret at the time.
Yeah, because I didn't want anything to. It's like X-Files. I don't know. I didn't know much about it, and it was my father-in-law who said, "Larry, you should check this out."
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and
That's
so
great.
I did it reluctantly, and then of course I was hooked.
And we've talked many times how as the show went on, it folded in on itself and became this way too complicated with all the long
Yeah, the mythology
arcs.
just went off the rails.
Well, what it did, it had the same thing that Star Wars had, is it revealed that it was making it up as it went, that they went along.
Yeah.
And
in a way that was just so clumsy.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
you know.
And they never recovered from it because
and
they
they-
did the movies, which sucked. They did the new
Oh, that
reboot.
movie is
which
one of the worst
sucked.
movies ever.
Like everything, they never.
Which one?
Well,
there were-
actually, the second one, if you took
Second was a great episode of the show.
yeah, and if you took
Yeah.
if the second movie, if you took X-Files out of it, you'd probably like it more.
Sure.
Yeah.
But the first one is just a disaster.
Now, I remember walking out of the first one, and I remember it was the same feeling that I had walking out of like Lost Highway. You know, it's just like,
You weren't completely satisfied. It was neat to see
no,
these
I was-
characters on the big screen.
yeah,
but
it was, I was like, well, I saw it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Enjoy
Yeah,
it.
you've done your duty
Yeah, my
as a fan.
I remember and this is not what the show's, but I remember, you know, Peyton Reed.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. Ant-Man. Gave me my first job.
Oh, doing what?
It was the Weird Al show.
Oh, great. Yeah, Peyton's the
Lovely
best.
guy.
The best. And we
And
went,
one of us.
and one of us. We went to see Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes together on opening night.
Oh, God.
And we walked out of we sat there, and we walked out of that movie, and he just was like, I will never see that movie again. I will not buy the soundtrack. I will not buy the action figure.
I'm with him though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But it's a really good soundtrack is Danny Elfman's Dark Shadows soundtrack.
Oh, really?
Yeah, better
The
soundtrack
one
than a
good thing
movie.
about the movie.
Better
Okay.
soundtrack.
All right.
Danny Elfman, just about everything he does is good.
Yeah.
Now, one show that I saw a few episodes of, but didn't completely see that, but I liked the few episodes I saw at the time, which Millennium.
Yeah, Millennium was good. I like Millennium.
I liked what I saw.
That was with
That's a show I want to
Lance-
revisit because I kind of
Lance
did like
Henriksen.
that.
Lance Henriksen.
Yeah,
'Cause he
and
was-
it was Chris Carter. And also,
It was like his follow up to the X-Files.
And what was the basic gist of Millennium?
it was Frank Black was the character, right? And he was
Right.
kind of investigating more like it was more serial killer stuff.
He had left the Pixies and was now working with the serial. No, he could see through the eyes of a serial killer kind of thing. It was a great idea. You know?
And it would
But again, it
lap
was just
into like supernatural satanic stuff.
yeah, and I think
Yeah.
the problem with it is it didn't have that thing that the X-Files had and the Night Stalker had. And it wasn't funny. It was joyless.
Yeah, that's true. It was very dark and morose and, yeah.
You want to spend an hour in a place. It should have every color. You know.
Yeah.
It was just sort of morose.
Well, this has been great.
It has been.
You know, and I knew when we get Dana on, it was going to be more. I'd get more out of this than just TV shows. I mean, I
No.
appreciate
No,
everything
you bring
that
an
you brought
experience.
to.
Yeah.
A whole world.
And
to
of
the
course,
show.
your love of apes. I mean, I share that as well.
I made a mac and cheese.
But is there any other? I mean, we've talked about a bunch of stuff. Is
There's
there any?
so many. I mean, yeah.
Remember Werewolf?
Yes, I like that kind of.
Yeah, I
liked
like
it because it
that
was
stuff.
succinct half-hour episodes.
Yeah,
they were
I
they were
love
done
that.
in a syndicated show, 80s.
But
Yeah.
Sean, you and I were
Or
talking
Manimal.
how Manimal. But
Manimal.
That was more like
the best thing that Manimal gave us was the Letterman, the David Letterman short, "The Day My Show Got Canceled,"
Oh yeah,
which is when the kid reads that Manimal gets canceled and goes running off into Central Park. Timmy, I'm never gonna watch TV again. Timmy, don't say that. Not even joking.
Well, I was happy Manimal came along because before that we had Lucan the Wolf Boy.
Right.
Raised by wolves,
Yeah.
which isn't really horror, but
but-
he kind of acted like a wolfman.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, wolfish.
Yeah.
And there's a new creep show.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, Dana.
Yeah, syndicated or is it Netflix?
Shutter.
Shutter. Yeah.
Which is a lot of great stuff on it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, CREEPSHOW is going to its second season.
Cool.
Nice.
We all watched your episode.
Yeah,
and we enjoyed
was
it
a fat
immensely.
suit. It was not my body.
No, I could tell. I know.
And Greg was like, I don't think of you this way. Thank you.
Well, sitting here wearing your mesh wife beater,
Sleeveless.
clearly,
Yeah.
you are not that guy.
No, it was a ton of fun, and what I really liked about it was to be self-aggrandizing. Like, it gave me a chance to really act a role and to not just come in with 2 lines and disappear.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And I kind of, in my mind, he was Charles Martin Smith from American Graffiti, who was later defeated, and it was a decent guy that had stopped trying.
I like the turn that you make when you are introduced to the woman who was initially with you in the fat clinic. And then you see her and she's all thin.
Yeah.
And there's a moment where you're like, hey, maybe I gotta get on board with this.
Yeah. And I ask her out, and she shuts me down.
Yeah, that was great.
Maybe when I've lost weight, I gotta go. Sure.
Yeah, great stuff. Great stuff.
Yeah, no, that was really fun. Directed by a really good friend of mine, Roxanne Benjamin, who is a really great director. Yeah, I was very proud of it. And have you guys seen Sabrina?
No.
Yeah, I watched a bunch of those. I did enjoy it, but I felt it just got a little repetitive.
That and Riverdale, they look beautiful, but it's a little too YA for me. It's a little like gay friend,
Yeah,
and a lot too many. Girls, let's cause them chaos.
Well, they're trying to make it more hip and contemporary.
And it's not for me. It's for
Right,
my
right.
And I
kids.
did, I 4 or 5 episodes, I was like, I enjoy this.
It looks nice.
I was okay.
Yeah.
I had a good time with this, and I think I'm done now.
Yeah.
Something that I just watched once again for the first time, Goosebumps.
Goosebumps.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Goosebumps. Now, I
I thought you were going to say Ghost Whisperer.
no, I don't. Is that any good? No. Oh. Good for one reason, but Goosebumps. I watched 3 episodes, and this is a giant franchise that
Yeah.
people
Oh, yeah.
are very, very
Movies.
fond of.
Yeah.
And especially, the kids that grew up with it
Sure.
are really, really into it. But I watched a few, and I know that if I had seen this show when I was a kid, I would have loved this show.
Sure.
I would say that there's a couple things that I think, Larry, you would really care for. Have you watched the show?
I've watched a couple. I'm not sure which ones you're
Well,
talking about.
that sometimes they can get a little goofy.
Yes.
And as a kid, I don't think I would have liked that. It's
Yeah.
like, come on, guys, I want
I want it more serious.
I want it to be more serious. But when they do keep it serious, they do a very good job of writing that line of what is scary, but what's not going to wreck a kid.
That's really
Right,
well
right.
observed. Yeah.
But I think Sean and I, we were talking earlier, it's amazing when
funny.
you go back, when you look at for television, the 50s, 60s, 70s, how, there's a few here, but when you get into the 2000s and even now, there's so much.
Well, there's so much of everything, of any genre. But yeah, you look at anything from 2000 on as far as horror TV series. It's insane. There's so many. There's also a lot of shows I've never seen that are based on movies. Like there was an Exorcist TV series with Gina Davis.
Gina Davis, yeah.
I've heard.
What?
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
I never heard of it.
Yeah, it was
Really?
Exorcist.
With
it was,
Gina Davis?
Yeah, it was
I
like
love
primetime
Gina
television.
Davis.
Ken
was on-
said,
I do too.
Ken said it was good.
It was on
Really?
FX.
Then it's good.
I think it was on FX.
Oh, FX maybe. Okay. I mean, there's been a Scream TV series. There's been
That I've not
Hannibal.
watched.
There's
Yeah.
been. There's a lot
Hannibal
of
was
shows.
actually, I thought that was cool.
Yeah, a lot of people liked Hannibal.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
not seen Hannibal.
That was
But,
a
I-
Brian Fuller thing too.
Yeah, but I don't have time. It's
No.
No, there's too
Yeah,
many.
it's
There's
too
just
people
much.
too
come up
many.
to me and asking me about a show that I've never heard of, and then to explain what it is, they'll reference another show I've never heard of.
But you
Have you seen Wigwam Cemetery? No. It's done by the guy that does Toast Detective. What?
But you understand, you're Mr.
Doesn't
Stand
sound like
Against
a show.
Evil. People think of you as you're Mr. Television now,
Yeah.
and you know all the stuff
Can't-
out
You
there.
can't watch everything.
No.
Yeah.
I can't watch everything, and I'm trying to finish The Watchmen. I'm trying to finish The
Yes.
Mandalorian.
I love
Yeah,
the
yeah.
show
Yeah.
Dark, the German series.
Oh,
Dark
you
is
told me
great.
about
Dark
that.
I did
Yeah.
see Dark. I did see Dark.
And
yeah.
there's a second season that Dark is so complex because it deals with time travel and alternate realities and times. And for Carrie and I to go back and watch the second season we have to go back and watch the first season again because there's you almost have to take notes. But it's a great show.
Great show. See, I'm coming into this too late. The Revenant, not the Leonardo DiCaprio movie, the French movie, French show called The Revenant.
Returners.
Well, it was called The Return. There was an English version called The Return.
That's a brilliant show.
See the French version.
The French one
is better.
Is great.
It's so good.
What is it? What is the premise?
Small town in the mountains of France, like Brittany or something, and beautiful little town. And over the course of a week, a group of people that have been dead for various amounts of time come back. They're not zombies. They're the same age they were when they left, and they're like, where have you been? You know, I was down by the pond. I couldn't find anybody. And this guy drowned in the pond like 4 years ago.
Wow.
And he's back. And this
Little different though.
Yeah,
Like their personalities are a
little different. Yeah.
And it's a nice slow burn of
It's a really slow
of-
burn, but it's really well done, and it's satisfying
Great.
ending and gorgeous to look at.
Yes,
Yeah.
brilliant.
Okay.
Beautiful. There's another show, an Australian show.
La Lake Boob. I go to La Lake Boob.
There's a show that's similar in theme to that called Glitch, and it's an Australian show, and it's 2015, and it's about kind of the same thing. A bunch of people suddenly rise from the grave. They've been buried, and they're now alive again. And they're people who there was like somebody who died like a year ago, and then there's another person that died 30 years ago or 50, and they all, just a random selection of these people that rise from the dead. Wow. And the rest of the series trying to figure out, well, why?
Yeah, that's what I like. Okay, why?
And then there's also a thing too, if they go to the edge of the town, they start to bleed and almost like
great.
disintegrate. And so it was cool. I didn't finish the whole thing, but that was one that I thought was pretty interesting.
Glitch.
Yeah.
Lorraine Newman told me about a great show. It's Swedish or Norway, called The Border.
Okay.
It's about a woman that works at a border, and she can tell if you are lying.
Oh, that's good.
But she doesn't look right. She looks kind of like a little chrome. Like she's got a heavy forehead,
Like an old lady?
No, like Lucy. Like that. Like. And then another guy that looks like her comes to the border, and they kind of.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's really fascinating.
Yeah.
We'll have to get Lorraine Newman on the show.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Larry.
Yeah.
Yes,
If only we
will.
knew someone who knew her.
Yeah. Well, Dana, thank you so much for being
Thank you
with us.
very much.
Yeah,
Tonight.
thank you for
This
coming
was
back.
such a joy.
Every time you're on, it's like I just remember how much I miss you.
Dana,
I agree.
before you go, though, you have to tell
Likewise to you.
when Michael Calls story. You have to say that.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
'Cause when Michael Calls, by the way, is a great early 70s
Very
horror
scary
mystery TV movie
About?
with Elizabeth Ashley. It's Elizabeth Ashley is getting these phone calls from supposedly a dead little boy.
Yeah.
and it's super
Her
creepy.
dead little boy, right?
No,
Her
just
dead nephew.
Dead nephew, that's
Michael
right.
Douglas is
Okay.
in it.
Auntie
It's-
My Helen. Auntie My Helen.
It's really good. Really
Yeah,
creepy.
that-
And Peyton Reed loves When Michael Calls. And he directed Ant-Man, which had Michael Douglas in it, who was the star of When Michael Calls.
That's right.
And one day he brought his When Michael Calls like novelization that he had as a kid to the set to sign this. And I'm doing a bad version of Peyton Reed's very good impression of Michael Douglas. But he's like, what is this? It's mine. You have a mental problem. Why do you like? Because I love that movie. He goes, oh, that movie. Wow.
Before we go, is there anything you're working on
sure,
that we
yeah.
can look forward to?
Yeah,
You
what
said
can
you're
we,
doing some kind of a Dr. ZAIUS thing, or what's going on with you,
Plug
man?
and plug away.
Well, I'm doing. When does this air? I don't know if it's gonna. February 6th, 7th, and 8th. I'm going to be on tour with Bobcat Goldthwait, filming our special, The Show with Two Heads.
Okay.
That'll be in Atlanta, Asheville, and Athens, Georgia.
And how's he doing?
Bob's great.
And how are you doing?
I'm better.
Yeah?
We're both better. Yeah, we were in a car wreck together. And then I'm writing. I'm writing some things that will be around later.
Hopefully there'll
Okay.
be some kind of another show down the road.
Yeah, well, I wrote a horror movie that started shooting yesterday, and that'll be out in December. So I'm happy about
Well, you know,
Oh,
we'll have
holiday
you back.
episode.
We have you back on to talk about it.
Yeah, it started shooting yesterday in beautiful Winnipeg, Ontario, in January. And this is one of those times where like I like being the writer. right. But I'm very excited about it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I'm excited to have you. Let's raise our glasses to Daniel and to horror TV show.
Can I put my pants back on?
Time for a listener shout out. This goes.
Do you every time now? It's a thing now with you.
I was doing spooky
I
noises.
know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yes,
it's
you're-
horror.
Oh, okay. All right. But it seems like you're always doing that. Shut up.
I like falsetto.
You're doing it
I
now.
like Rush in the
You
darkness.
can't
and
just
so
go shut out. Hey.
No, I can't.
Oh, okay.
I believe in a thing called love. Go ahead.
Speaking of a thing called love, this goes out to our longtime listener and friend Jim Jenkins from San Diego.
Oh, Jim Jenkins.
Love Jim.
I was
Right.
surprised because Jim ordered yet another Monster Party T-shirt
Oh my
when he already
gosh.
had one or two, and then he said, "Well, no, it's for his brother Bruce, who just started listening to the show."
I thought he was doing like a thing like we do sometimes where you have another one.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
Oh yes, because if you put it in the wash,
Sure,
you know,
right, yeah.
So if you already have one, you might want to get a second one.
Yeah.
So, also want to shout out to Bruce. Hey, Bruce, thanks for listening.
Bruce.
Yeah.
Bruce,
Oh.
thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Expanding the Monster Party listenership.
And we also have a new review.
A new
Oh
review.
boy.
This comes from that Boris guy
I like it.
who says, "Oh, you're Mr. Great Show." Great show, always fun and always informative. The level of uncomfortableness can be worrisome at times, but that usually makes it a better show. I always come away with an appreciation of whatever the subject episode is and a list of things to seek out and see.
Cool.
Thank you, that Boris guy.
Yeah, that's
Nice,
great.
that's great.
I love the fact that he brought out the uncomfortable.
Uncomfortableness? Like what's uncomfortable?
Really? You
Are you uncomfortable during the show?
Never.
Well, now I am.
Is it
Shine a spotlight on it. Sure.
because people have been saying, "Oh, you know that episode when pet peeves, you went into the pet peeve thing." I mean, was that it?
Who knows? There's so many moments
could've
that you
been.
could find uncomfortable.
Yeah. Like this one.
This one right now, right? We deliver them on a platter for you.
No,
our listeners.
look, we're friends. If we can't open up to each other,
Yeah.
and tell each other how we really feel.
Look, we're genuine friends, and so of course, it's
Contrary
going to
to
get
popular
uncomfortable.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No, we do. We kind of like rub each other maybe the wrong way sometimes, but deep down
Deep down, right.
we're friends.
It's all
Deep down.
Deep down.
All
What's that
right.
from?
Diabolic.
Danger Diabolic.
Morricone soundtrack.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Awesome. And there's, I forget that. There's
It's a soundtrack.
Well, I know what a soundtrack is.
That's a
Is there
song. It's
singing?
a groovy, it's a groovy song. To be
I have
called
to
deep,
get this
deep
now.
Down.
Oh,
I
it's
should have
awesome.
it.
It's fantastic.
Because I do, when I watch the movie, that's one
I
soundtrack
love
that I
that movie.
remember
Yeah.
thinking,
Oh.
wow, I could
And it's a
actually
sound-
listen to this in my car.
Yeah, and it's a
awesome.
soundtrack that unfortunately has never been officially released.
Oh.
There's like
Where'd you guys get it?
been a lot of
like a
bootlegs.
bootleg, yeah, but it's a pretty good bootleg.
Where'd you find it, James?
And there's like 7 or 8 different versions of that same song.
Yeah,
It's
and I got mine signed by John Philip Law.
No.
He was at I forget what it was, something at the Cinematheque, and I knew he was there, and I brought my CD, and he signed it.
For listeners who don't know, John Philip Law played one of the best Sinbads.
That's true.
In the Golden
Sure.
Voyage of
And
Sinbad.
he's
He was-
the
and he also
angel
played-
in Barbarella.
Yeah, he's great
and he was
actor.
also
very
in
cool.
Danger Diabolic.
Diabolic.
Yeah. The lead role.
Yeah.
Sean, I think you also have a listener shout out.
I do. I have another shout out from our past guest, worldwide hypnotist and fellow monster kid Michael Mesmer.
Michael Mesmer.
We love him.
He sent us a message on Facebook, and this is what he said. Hi, all. I hope all is going great for you. I wanted to let you know that I have an article coming out in the next Scary Monsters magazine, and I mentioned your show in it. The article actually grew out of my interview on your show.
Wow.
Yeah, it's awesome. The article is titled "The Monster Kid in the Closet Meets the Man of a Thousand
What is he trying to
Faces."
say?
Interestingly enough, I also created the title for the issue, Brains Gone Mad.
Brains gone
Well,
mad.
that fits.
Yeah, and the issue, he attached the cover art of the magazine, and the magazine, this issue is coming out in February, and it can be ordered, on the Scary Monster site. And yeah, he mentions us and talks about us, and and he writes a lot for Scary Monsters, which we love.
He's
the
great.
magazine.
What a lovely,
he's fantastic,
lovely man.
We actually have to have him back in the show at some point.
He should
Absolutely.
do an article just on us.
Yeah, well, let's be happy with what he's doing here first. But
this thing particular,
Yes.
this particular
Yes.
thing.
You don't
is
think
nice.
it would be good if they
well,
wrote
sure,
it?
but I mean, the fact that he reached out to us to tell us that he's, the article was inspired by him guesting on our show.
He was
Yeah.
inspired by Monster Party.
right.
Are a cauldron of inspiration. we are inspiration
We
soup.
true.
inspire people.
So, Michael, thank you so much. That's awesome. We can't wait. We will absolutely be getting the issues of this magazine. So,
Yeah.
it's
Thanks,
great.
Michael.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael.
Yes, thank you, my friend.
Next time we have you on, maybe you could hypnotize one of these.
Yeah, I do want that. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a subject who really needs it.
Well, you're not looking at me.
I'm not looking at anyone.
And
right.
hey, maybe we'll see Michael again at Monster Palooza.
Of course, yeah, because we're going to be there.
Monster.
Coming up in Pasadena. It's on a Mother's Day weekend, which is perfect because you can take, the mom and your family. I'm
Bring-
sure
yes!
she'd love to meet us. Perfect. And
Perfect event.
Bring the dried up, withered corpse of your mom from the fruit cellar and enjoy the con.
Has Psycho taught us nothing about Mother's Day?
Yes,
Right.
and love of your mother. Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
let's also remind our listeners you can find us on Facebook and YouTube at Monster Party TV. Our Twitter handle at Monster Party HQ. Instagram is also Monster Party HQ. And please, if you're listening, take a moment and write a review. We will read it on the air, and we would really appreciate hearing from you.
On that note, I am Matt Weinhold.
I'm Shawn Sheridan.
I'm Larry Stroth.
And I'm James Gonis.
Keep America strong!
Continue watching horror TV. And invade! 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 My whole body's a weapon.
Are you like a model builder? Do
You had your time.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, there's Aurora model monster.
I could
you know,
build those.
yeah,
I
the
could
Aurora monster.
Sure,
like we
right.
all could.
Yeah.
You know,
couldn't build the vampire. I'll show you the vampire.
Yeah, my days of dremeling are far and in between.
and then when you try to like take this putty and make it all smooth,
And I can do that, but
You can
committing myself to the time to do that
Like,
is
as a kid,
difficult.
As a kid, like high school, I mean, a lot of models, and I did a really good job. I was really into it.
Yeah, I
but
should probably paint this place at some point rather than, you know.
Here. Did you ever think either one of us would see this email?
Wow. Wow. From
Worlds colliding.
yeah, just like
That's great for
a
radio.
kaleidoscope.
Let's see.
What does it say? Read it out loud.
Right now, I'm watching Making Apes.
Lorraine Newman.
Yeah.
From Connie Conan.
I think Lorraine Newman is she's on our Twitter.
How do you like that? Wow.
Huge monster kid.
She is?
Huge.
Is
Get
she?
her on.
Yeah.
You should.
Oh,
Get
great.
her on. How do we get her?
What do we do?
I'll get up.
Oh, we get her. Like, what movie has she been in that had?
Oh, shut up. She's a fan. Are you kidding me? You're going to turn down a fucking SNL alum?
She's a fan.
Founding member?
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're just gonna have
Do you
fans.
know who
on
she
this-
is?
Yes.
Newman, yeah. Are you kidding me? You're poo-pooing having Lorraine Newman on.
No, I'm not poo-pooing. I'm questioning the.
We have to get Lorraine Newman on.
I think what we're going to do is we have a new
She
spot.
was in Toby Hooper's Invaders from Mars.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
That's of
All right.
course. The classic one. Yes, I see. Yes.
All right.
I know,
Ready-
Dana. That's
ready
great.
for a-
Oh wait, if you're just gonna have people on that are in good movies, I should excuse myself.
No. You were in Stand Against Evil. Hello.
Excuse myself.
That was good.
It was.
Do you think every day, hey, I'm Dana Gould, I'm going to be in something brilliant? No, not everything that you do is going to be brilliant.
Welcome back, Dana.
I'm just
The Jim Earl and Dave Anthony hour.
No, it's not. It's
Yeah.
no,
Don't look into the abyss too long here.
You're a sharp guy. You're an articulate guy, but you don't have control over everything
No,
you do.
It's
course
hard
not.
It's hard to make stuff.
It is.
And sometimes
Sometimes
you think it's great, and then you get to the end of it and you're like, This didn't work at all. No, it's really true. Like you honestly, I've been on sets like this is going to be amazing, and then it just doesn't cut together, or something doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And like, well, we had fun.
Oh,
We had fun.
Wait a minute.
We had lunch.
Well, and how many times where it's a movie that actually turns out to be good, but it's released, it's a giant flop, and then like The Thing, 20 years later, it's
Blade Runner
brilliant.
or anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have not seen this movie yet, but the two people that I talked to, two people of the 100 people that I talked to that hated it, I talked to two people that said, no, it's not great, but it's very good, is Tim Burton's Dumbo.
Oh.
Interesting.
that is
I
interesting.
just have no interest to see.
I have.
Yeah,
I
I
have
have-
yet to see.
Well, somebody said it's about Tim Burton's career in Hollywood. And
Does
about
he know
how
that?
people treat the weirdo when it gets monetized.
No,
And-
no.
I think,
not for
I-
kids.
I think
not for
someone's-
kids.
I really wish that he could just work out his shit somewhere else and
I
then
think
come
he's-
back and
I-
do another Ed Wood.
I think he's worked out his shit and doesn't know what to do.
Oh, okay.
I think he's pretty happy. and
Speaking of
content.
Ed Wood, by the way, you were not wrong with that Dolomite. Man,
Oh, it's so beautiful.
good Lord, did that
So
make me
entertaining.
happy?
Yeah, and it's just and like Ed Wood, it's incredibly sweet.
Yeah.
Yes,
And-
it was life affirming.
It was life affirming. The amazing thing about, unlike the ending of Ed Wood, which takes place entirely in Ed Wood's mind.
Right, it's the king of
Yeah,
comedy.
Well, that's what Scott. Well, that's what Scott and Larry said. The end is in his mind.
Yeah.
But
Because I think that when they found him, he had the most horrific look on his face, like he was staring into hell. Like when they found Ed Wood in real life.
on David Coe's couch.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, that was years later.
Yeah,
Okay,
in the
come on.
Late 78.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the ending of Dolomite, when he's entertaining the people in line that are waiting for the next show, that happened.
Really, the little kid.
That really happened in Chicago. They said like the thing in the movie that seems like the biggest
Right.
commercial
Cheat, yeah.
cheat.
Yeah.
No, that actually really happened.
I'm so happy to hear that because with that story, you get the story of this guy who worked so hard, really worked hard, and
worked
kept at it,
Worked
his ass
balls off,
off,
yeah.
and appreciated his fans when he finally made it.
Yep. Yeah,
And that's beautiful.
And that movie got made because of Ed Wood. Scott and Larry, 16, 17 years ago, Eddie Murphy called them in for a meeting and started reciting scenes from Ed Wood to them. And they were like, okay. Yeah. And then he went, do you know who this guy, Rudy Ray Moore, is? And of course they did. Because
Right, sure.
they're us.
Right.
Yeah. And they were like, yeah. And he was like, I want to do it. I want you guys to write it. And they had a pitch, Eddie Murphy, and they took it around and nobody wanted it.
Wow.
And then 17 years later, it got made.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
'Cause
So many things they
but-
did right with that film.
Yeah, and the reason it got made was they had some heat on them from the People versus O.J. Simpson.
Oh, yeah,
They
right.
got
Yeah.
brought in. They're like, all right, you had some. What do you want to do? And they would like to do Dolomite. We'll call Eddie Murphy. You still want to do it? Yeah. All right, we'll go on to Netflix. They went into Netflix, pitched it, they bought it,
It was great
and
seeing
they got
him.
made.
Seeing him
It was great seeing
again,
him actually act again.
he's such
Yeah,
a great
try and care. And he was great on Saturday Night Live. It made me so happy.
He's such a great actor, and that's a thing that people don't remember all the time.
Right, right.
That
Too
he's,
busy
I
remembering
mean,
the clumps.
Bowfinger.
Oh, well, I love the clumps. I love the clumps.
Bowfinger. I think he's
Bowfinger's
brilliant in
fantastic.
that.
Bowfinger, yeah.
Brofinger alike.
Yeah.
No, the movies of his that leave me kind of wanting are the
Pluto
family
Nash.
movie and the family, all the Dr. Doolittles and stuff like that. But I think anytime he's in a I like The Nutty Professor. I loved the clumps. And then the other one, he made one that was just him, and it wasn't the clumps or Nutty Professor, but
Oh,
he
the
was
Norbit?
Norbit. I love Norbit.
I love Norbit. Norbit's good.
I love
You ever seen
Norbit.
Norbit?
How you doing?
Yeah. You didn't like? Did you see Norbit, Larry?
Norbit predicted Lizzo before Lizzo.
All right. Should
I
we
don't know
start
if you
this?
guys do you know Lizzo?
She was on the Grammys. Yeah.
I'm just checking.
So she's a.
She's the character from
a
Norbit.
big-
She's how you doing? It's basically Lizzo.
Wow,
and
I'm
she
out
has in her hit song.
I only know the last band I saw was The Darkness, and so
Sure.
that's where I live.
No, Lizzo's big hit is "Hair Toss, Check My Nails, Baby, How You Feeling?" Feeling good as hell. And
It sounds
it's
great.
basically like, how you doing? It's like, how you, baby, how you feeling? Same thing.
If I ever want to be mad at music, I'll watch either Graham Norton or SNL.
Sure.
And then it's just like, wow, so nothing I like is ever being made anymore.
I hate all of the. all the music my kids listen to, I'm like, oh God, turn it off. Like when I drive my kids to school, they listen to 102.7 Kiss FM.
Yeah.
And but Lizzo,
Why? Come on, I know that
but
station.
I love Lizzo. I love Lizzo.
I'll look her up.
She's very entertaining.
And I
look
just
her
realized, speaking of Saturday Night Live, Lorraine Newman, she was back in the early days of the Coneheads. She was the daughter.
She was Connie Cohen.
Whoa, it just came to you, huh? Wow.
She was Connie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
Took you that long to.
And Christopher Lee hosted Saturday Night Live.
Yes, remember that one?
Because Lorraine made Lauren. That was because of Lorraine.
Wow.
No.
Yeah. It was like,
Don't you want to hear that story?
you have-
I guess not.
No, I do want to hear that story.
Who's Lorraine Newman?
No, let's.
I want to nerd out with Lorraine Newman on the show.
Fucking A, we do.
Yeah.
And also, I believe, and she's one of the top voice actors in LA right now. She's on every cartoon.
Every cartoons, yeah.
Let's get her in.
All right.
And
Let's
her
get her in.
daughter is a great.
Does she pass muster with you now?
And her
Larry?
daughter is a great stand-up.
Really?
Her daughter Hannah Einbinder is a fantastic stand-up.
Wow. Okay.
Well, as long as it's Lorraine comes on.
Oh, fuck
You know,
off.
just
Will you
quick.
stop?
It can be
Better yet, Gilda. I can make it happen.
Through Zabrecki?
Oh, I loved her.
I get a Ouija board.
Oh, well, this is great.
All right, let's start this fucking
We're
thing.
talking about TV. So
You know
We're
what
talking about
you know
TV.
what the topic is, right?
Yes, he
Yes.
knows.
it's Far Out Space Nuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
3 hours to talk about it.
Yeah, there were some horrific episodes of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was Dr. Smith and Gilligan.
Yeah.
What do you want? What do you want?
But the aliens in that thing were actually really good.
This is really great, and I'd love to talk about it on the
Okay,
show.
we're doing it.
No,
we're not
there's
on
like
it?
you
Have
know
we
how
not
it's
started?
done. No. He has to he does his
All right.
creepy voice.
Okay,
We do
go
our
ahead.
introduction, then we introduce you.
He's mad at you for no reason.
No,
and so you're back. Once
I'm-
again, it's like family.
I feel like I've been sucked into Jim Earl's Twitter feed.
We'll cut. We usually play some of this stuff. I'll cut that.
I don't think he listens.
Oh no, Jim. Jim loves my world.
All right. We could go on.
Yes, here we will.
on.
Okay, here we go. Ready?
Here we go. Everyone quiet.
Okay.
Settle.
Yeah.
Now,
And always, you
and
know.
Sean sounds okay to you?
Sean sounds great.
Test.
Once you got to hug the mic, baby.
Yes. Shawn Sheridan. Yes.
I'm going to give you a little extra bump there.
That'd be awesome.
How do you sound there,
Sound
James?
good.
Test. Hello, hello.
Do you like that?
That's all right.
It's all right.
It's okay.
Do you want a little more?
I don't know. Do you?
It's fine.
I
It's
hate
fine.
every
You know what?
single one
I
of
want to
these
thank.
fuckers.
I just want to say I want to thank because I think I sound great.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Larry.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm grateful.
And Dana, he's a dream always. He's a pleasure to work with.
Don't.
Now,
Don't tell me how to say it. It sickens me.
I actually have that episode of Star Trek, the animated series, on 16, and he says it exactly like that.
Is that
in
what
the
it's fr-
episode.
is that what it's
That's
from?
what it's from.
Oh, I thought it was like a commercial or something.
No.
Sort of a hail fellow well met.
Yeah.
You-
sabotage.
Sabotage,
Sabotage.
You mean that's something that's on television?
It actually, yes.
Oh, so it could actually go in this topic that we're going to talk about.
Okay, yeah, but it's going to be in the episode.
Okay, I'm just making-
We're doing it, okay? Here we go. Greetings, everyone. And welcome to an No, let me do it. Hold on, wait.
Okay, quiet. Hey, you're doing great.
I'm nervous.
Okay. Very nervous. You're right.
See, we're getting into Night Stalker. This is yes.
I knew I'd drag you into new territory.
No, I mean,
We knew it was gonna
it's
go
like
here
we're always
anyway.
Mention, Night Stalker. Hey,
We'll do the
good
lightning round. Will be all the new shows.
Just this nut thinks he's a vampire.
And we needed to get your side of this whole thing.
Yeah.
We're all good.
Speaking of the Twilight Zone,
Yes.
did you know? And I have the tape, and I need to transfer it, and maybe it'll be one of our Patreon extras.
Okay.
I was brought into TV 20 of San Francisco.
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes, I do remember
They
that.
had a Twilight Zone marathon,
Yes.
and I was Rod Serling.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'd pay good money to see that.
I'm telling you, I'm in my 20s, and I've got my hair all greased up, and I'm in a suit.
Were you a stand-up already?
Yeah. Yeah. And they brought me in, and I forget how it happened, but they said, okay. And they had me read a bunch of different little, breaks for the
Right.
marathon.
You did a Mop and Glow commercial?
I did the-
just like Rod?
I took up smoking. I did, yes, everything.
You got emphysema?
I did. Because
Carol Serling just died last week.
Yes, she did. And so you know what that means? That means now maybe Biff Bang Pow has a chance at making a Rod Serling figure.
God,
Jeez, wow.
talk about a mourning period.
Was she the one?
Lemons in the lemonade.
Wait, come on.
Well,
Am I the only one?
Let me choose my words carefully. Was she the one stepping on their dick?
She. You know what? If you listen to the show, Jason Lindsay is wonderful, and he was very honest, and they did some great prototypes, and she felt that, she wasn't completely sure that Rod would want that, but it's like, you know what? They've made a figure of Alfred Hitchcock.
The voice of another time.
If they make one, I'll buy it.
And let me tell you something else,
It'll
Dana.
be sold out immediately.
Dana, let me tell you something else. If you're going to hold off, I don't think I want to make a figure because I don't think, if you wanted to be remembered, make that damn figure so I can buy it and pass that down to generations.
I think probably.
I commissioned a night gallery painting. I'm all in.
Well, there you go.
I'm all in.
Yeah. I mean, I
think you've seen it. It's a Bob Lizarraga painting called Midnight Traveler, and it's just him. It looks like he's standing on Mulholland. And it's just Rod Serling standing there on a country road at night.
Cool.
But it's 70s fro Rod Serling.
Yeah.
I have one of those prints. Remember the prints that they sold in Famous Monsters of Film?
Sure, yeah.
Of the paintings.
Right,
yeah.
And I have one that's of the Android episode that the name escapes me at this moment.
The maid.
Oh yeah,
The Maids.
You can't get help like that anymore.
That's the one. Thank you very much.
I have the one. It's not the greatest episode, but it's a great painting. Death and Tap Shoes.
Oh, that's great. No, that's great too.
Like skulls.
This one shows the broken android, and it's signed by Lana Wood.
No.
Wow. Oh yeah. Nice. Nice.
Wow.
Okay. Matt,
All right, shall we pick up?
let's come back to when he's ready.
And where were we at?
You said, and hey, you were about ready to say something else.
This is
still Kolchak, right?
Yeah.
yeah, but I'm showing you this painting I had commissioned.
I want to see.
Oh my God, that's beautiful.
Ooh, that is nice.
Yeah, and if you'll notice, it's 70s Afro Serling.
Yeah.
That's the good thing about it.
The Night Gallery period.
Yeah, I've just found I'm also getting a picture. I just you can just ask people to paint stuff, and they're like, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
There's a woman named Isabel Samaras. If you've ever seen the paintings of Batman and Robin kissing, or they're really beautiful.
No.
Oh, I'm very familiar with
I
them.
have not. No.
I said
I've done a couple.
I would like
commissions.
a Jack Webb, but done like a Keen drawing, like a Keen painting with big eyes, and she's like, can you wait till April? Yeah, got it.
Didn't Rod Serling, not only did he have the fro, he had gotten some sun. He was very tan.
He was so
Leathery,
leathered,
yes.
leathered.
Yeah, a lot of
Maybe not all from the sun. Maybe it's from the
like a
smoke.
tanning lamp.
Yeah.
He would write, he would dictate and just lay out by the
Lay in
pool.
the pool.
and-
Okay.
yeah.
That makes sense.
Oh,
yeah.
He died of old age at 52.
Jeez. Yeah.
All right, so we want to get back in.
Okay.
Way out. Doc's a little way out tonight.
And not the way outs.
I'm just not
Not
going
the
to
way
answer
outs.
that.
not the way outs. That's
Way out. That's where the party's going. Way out.
we're talking about.
Thank you.
There's a little sequence in a
Baby, how you feeling?
Flintstones episode where these little rock guys are singing a song, but the weird thing is when they sang way out, their bodies kind of split apart.
Yeah,
Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Oh yeah.
Imagine, if you will, what we see when the gorillas are having their issues and stuff. We actually see Dr. Milo with a team pulling the rocket ship out. He goes, "Oh, what does this button do? Oh, wow, I better write that down." And he writes things down and figures out how the spaceship works.
There have been a couple books.
Yeah.
And graphic novels too. Yeah.
yeah.
that
We saw
sort
the
of-
Yeah, I
cover,
know,
the
I
cover
know,
of that.
I know.
Yeah, where
they're pulling it out
I don't
of
buy
the-
any of it. I just
No, I know. You and the paper airplane. Ooh, they're amazed by the paper airplane. Here's the funny thing.
But,
I
how
still-
how do you explain that? The guy
Because he wants to know.
Whoa. I mean, like a year ago, paper airplane. Oh, it floats on the air. Like that is a new thing. Mm-hmm. And then cut to we repaired a spaceship.
Yes.
Well, that's the challenge, and that's why that story would be interesting to read.
You know why? Okay, now I know. Schematics. And also math.
I'm trying to follow you on this one.
Math is universal.
Okay,
math is
I'll
universal.
buy the math thing, and I'll buy schematics. That's good. I like that.
It goes,
I like schematics.
This fluid, they call it gasoline or
Now-
titanium, and
They put 100 chimpanzees in a room.
Nice one, James. Fix this spaceship.
See, all I'm saying, Matt, is I don't have all the answers, but I want to see that
James
story.
does. He fixed it just now.
Yeah, 100 chimpanzees in a room.
There you go.
Yeah, no, because you know why? Think of the controversy. He says
The controversy.
Yes. Cornelius, Sarah. Okay, I've got this man craft hidden
Who's
in a
talking
cave.
right now? Which
Dr.
voice are you
Milo.
doing?
Dr.
Oh, that's
Milo.
Dr. Milo.
Stewart?
Okay,
Is
all
this-
right. That's a really good sound video. I
No,
like it.
This is James Mason doing him.
All right, okay, go ahead.
And he says, Cornelius and Sarah, I've got this man craft in a cave, and I'm learning new things, and I need some help.
You know what this is? You can pitch Disney Plus on this series now.
That's true.
Now the Mandalorian
How did he get it
is so
out of
big,
the
you can do
water?
it.
How about this?
How did he get out of
Here,
the water?
I got one for you. How about this? They get the spaceship out of the water,
Right.
and they drag it, and they need to hide it.
Yes.
So I like your idea of the cave.
Yeah.
They drag it to the cave. When they're in the cave, they come upon a group of rebel mutants. The rebel mutants don't want anything to do with the theocracy that's taking
and they
place.
side with the
And they
chimpanzees.
side with the chimp, and they go like, hey, we could get off this planet, or we could maybe contact another planet, and it could maybe help us somehow. And so the mutants have advanced knowledge,
There you go.
and they
They
work
would,
together.
actually, yeah.
See, now, right now, just talking amongst ourselves, you have thrown in, this is a possibility.
Sure.
And
But that's what we need those in between steps.
And you know what I really like how in the mutant world how everyone's got that religious
I like
thing.
the idea of a mutant dissenter.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you know what,
had to
dissenters
have
are
been some, right?
everywhere. Dissenters are everywhere, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, we can't say anything. We got to keep it.
Yeah,
secret.
somebody after a while questioned, like, we're going to keep praying to this bomb? Like,
Yeah, it's
come
like
on.
Jonestown.
Yeah.
At some
Exactly.
point, there are some people that
Exactly.
tried to
Right.
escape and they got killed.
They're
or-
like younger generation, like Lucius. You know, they don't like what the older mutants are doing.
Right, yeah. That's not bad.
down with the bomb.
Yeah. There
See,
you go.
there's something here. I want to explore this. I'd see that movie or series.
Oh my
Serious?
god, I would.
And the one thing I would do, I would have the makeups similar to how we
were.
saw
Has
it
to
in
be.
the in
Talk
the
about
70s.
talk about like how they explore the Star Wars universe and they do all these little tangent films and stories like The Mandalorian and Rogue One. But yeah, think about the ape universe. I could actually, if it was done well with people who cared and loved this original series, you could do a Planet of the Apes series. It doesn't have to be
Anthology
with the
series. How about that?
Yeah, or it doesn't have to be the characters from the movies. It can just be in that. Again, it's like the Star Trek universe, the Star Wars universe. If you're just living in the Planet of the Apes world, you could do all kinds of.
Well, that's why I like the anthology idea, because then you could jump around to different
You
eras.
do a mutant
could do
story. You
a
could do
mutant
a
story.
Well,
ZAIUS story.
I
like,
still
Young ZAIUS?
I still like.
Do a conquest story.
yeah,
Well, I still like, Cornelius, Sarah, and Dr. Milo, and the kind of fill in the blanks as to how to get from beneath to escape.
So
Actually-
completely just shower on everything we just said, and you're like, all you want is just the initial thing.
No,
that
not
you
the
brought
shower.
up.
Okay, look, through my series, we could have a little bit of your series. We could we could have
Thanks,
like
Larry.
an episode
give you
or
that.
two.
Well, you've provided ample parking, so you've already kind of won my heart a little bit.
Good. And I know everyone jokes about parking. I
No,
tell you,
I do not joke about parking.
it's
very
you
important.
don't realize it until you need
Until
it.
you need parking. That's right.
and then you go, oh, he was right.
How good do you feel when you're driving around, you see that spot, and you're like,
That's
yes.
true. That's true.
Or when I've got there's a set and I have enough spaces for I know how many crew members are coming, and I have enough spots. Everyone's going to get a parking place.
Behind the
right.
scenes parking.
Yes,
Very
Yes.
exciting.
Wow.
Okay. So,
So,
why don't we
ready?
do the
Let's
rest of
do
this?
this?
We did the Don Knotts
Yeah, you
in
did
the show proper.
Yeah, yes.
I almost want to do something. I almost kind of want to do an apes thing because but it's not really for the show. But
Well, what would the Don Knotts thing be?
I don't know. I was just something funny, just like watch horror TV. It has nothing to do with
What's
but it's just
hilarious about that moment was when he was going, you guys going invade. I thought it was like I didn't realize what you guys were doing was beneath the Planet of the Apes. I thought it was
funny. Barney Miller.
No. I thought it was like an alien saying we're gonna invade. And Don thinking of Don.
Do you
Knotts
ever
as a-
listen to what other people are saying? I'm just curious.
I always listen, Matt. That's my new leaf. I have been listening. If you listen to the show, you'll find that I'm not saying much because I'm listening. I'm listening to what you have to say and what Dana had to say. And
have you noticed that I've been trying to not interrupt you?
yes, because ever since we had this discussion,
Yeah.
And I will admit, like for this episode especially, and I knew this would happen. We went off on a lot of different tangents, but you were okay with it. You were going with it because I can usually tell. I
'Cause it
can
was
look.
funny,
I
right?
can
You're
look
having
over at
fun.
you, and I can tell when you're like,
Yeah.
"But you're okay.
I
You're
held
going
back.
with it." Yeah, it's true. You're
I
going
held
with
back.
I think you were liking it. That's the thing.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you were laughing, and laughing is good and fun.
it. True. Yeah, it's true.
Are you saying that I'm laughing more?
Yes,
Oh,
you
yeah,
are.
yeah.
I think you.
Perhaps
I think you got a
there's-
little.
yeah.
I think you're
little-
the way that your whole life has taken a turn for the better. That you got a little spring in your step.
A little zippity doodah going there.
There's like a pinata in your brain that just got burst open.
I do have.
Candy
I think I
is-
do have a little zippity doo dah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm happy. We're very happy. To
But I
See
will
that.
I will say that it was just when he does these stories, Dana tells such wonderful stories.
He's the
and
funniest
even though
fucker ever.
sometimes I don't know where it's going to go, and I'm just about to say, and he'll finish, and then it's true. But I held back. I wanted to hear what he had to say.
Yeah.
So
was good.
It's always very entertaining.
yeah.
He's the guy who really made me when I saw him for the first time, I was like, "Oh, so that's what you can do with comedy." Like really, I mean, I love Carlin and Pryor, but like somebody who is accessible that I'm seeing him right there.
And very,
And-
very much into the same stuff that you were.
Well,
you know.
of course, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Kindred spirits.
Sometimes
Yep.
he can be maybe a little too intellectual, and
a little over your head, huh?
Yeah, well, sometimes yes, when he uses the fancy words and whatnot. But and
I think
if he
didn't
does a
get that.
little
No.
fart joke or whatever, that kind of
Fart
makes me
fart
chuckle.
joke?
Fart
You know, but tonight,
What do you want, Benny Hill on the show?
the show is going so well, and now all of a sudden you're the fart joke.
No,
and
no,
the
no. I'm saying that
Professor Gould and
yes. He did a lovely job, and I was interested.
he's a smart guy.
He is
But
very,
you're a smart guy too.
well,
We all have our different fields of
we do.
Yeah,
interest
exactly.
and
We
expertise, and
Yeah.
but
So I enjoy, but I held back.
well,
No,
good.
but
Thank
it was
you.
fun. Yeah,
it was
good.
fun.
It was really cool.
and that's really what this show is all about.
And this is what listeners can expect: is us to have more listening.
Oh my God.
Wow. Okay.
I'm with Sean.
Oh my God.
I stand with
It is a
Sean.
new leaf.
No,
All right.
I'm usually with Sean on many things.
True.
He
Yeah.
can't tell, but
I think so. No, he's.
yeah.
I'm rooting for Sean. And I'm blown away by some of the stuff that he says.
sometimes it's just that the level of sincerity in your voice, I can't tell if it's real
You can't tell if I'm sincere.
or
really.
or if that's you. That's just you. That's
It-
just Larry being Larry.
I'm sincere.
I think he. Larry wears his sleeves and his thoughts on his. Wears his emotions. Stephen Booze. You know what I'm saying? He wears
Larry,
his
you wear your
emotions.
sleeves.
He wears his emotions and his opinions and his thoughts on his sleeve. He's an open book.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
just
I'm an
for-
open book.
Yes, you are. And
James?
what I'm getting,
Yes, you are.
And your sleeves are fantastic.
and you've got great sleeves. There's no denying that. And listeners, if you were here, you would agree. He does something special with the sleeves that I've never seen, and I certainly can't replicate. And I'm not going to try.
Right.
But I've had people who listen to the show come to me and say, "Is he for real?"
Yeah, that I can understand. Yes.
And so And so sometimes even when I'm experiencing you, I'm like, is
Larry
this,
Stroh
could this
experience.
possibly be real? But then I'm always taught that it is. It's like discovering time and time again that there's a Santa.
Yes.
This fictional being that I didn't think was
more,
real.
More like a Krampus.
I think, you know what? It's funny you should say that because of comments that I've heard. Probably the best comment I ever had was actually from a big-time listener in Chicago, Angela McNichols, who said to you,
We love.
is he okay? I mean, she was concerned about my well-being. It's like most people, they don't care, or
No, she loves
cared,
us.
and I thought that was really nice.
Yeah.
Although now she might be upset because I got all upset that she only sent us 2 packages of cards.
Believe me,
But
she understands.
And of all,
Yes,
of
of all
all
the people.
of all people, she should know she should
Yeah,
send
she knows.
4.
No.
Don't send 2. But I appreciate,
fine.
I appreciated the thought. But that was a lovely comment that she
Yes.
made.
Yeah, no, and we all worry about you, Larry.
Yes.
I don't know how many times I wake up in the middle of the night and is Larry okay? Because I want you.
You
to
wake
be
up
okay.
screaming, Larry!
Look, we all have our little issues here on the show.
Yeah, that's the show.
right.
But the one thing that comes through is our passion for science
Well,
fiction, fantasy, and
True,
horror.
true.
We wouldn't have been doing
again.
this for like the last 6 years.
And
it wasn't.
I know the fact that we're still together and we could still
alive.
stand. Well, my God,
The weird thing, Sean, is we've been doing the show now for over 6 years.
I know, yeah.
We have well over 150 episodes. But the funny thing is, we've been doing this for a lot longer.
True.
When we
Yeah.
got together at like a party at your house, and I remember going off on some tangent we got into.
Yeah.
And it
but
was
what's amazing too, though, is like you said, even though we've been doing this show that long of that many episodes, we still every episode we have something new to talk about.
Yeah,
you know,
it's kind of amazing.
I mean, it's like there's just it's just such a vast
Yes.
arena of stuff that we love and that we kind of know about. So it's very cool.
And I think we all still enjoy our company, which
Yeah,
I
kind
mean, like when you think about like bands that
Yeah, right.
hate each other,
Right.
We don't really have to deal with that.
Right.
True.
not yet.
Not yet. No,
We haven't got there
I'm
yet.
waiting for. I know that episode's coming. Where it's like, "Fuck you! The show's done."
Yeah. Yep. But until then,
I'd like to give a toast to my
Toast to
friends
us.
at Monster Party.
Oh, double toast episode.
all right.
All right.
Wait, how about we'll say like keep America strong, watch horror TV shows.
And invade.
The only good human is the dead one.
Yeah, something like that even. Or
Invade.
I was trying to think if you could be doing Don Knotts but do something with the horror TV thing.
Right.
This is- watch something scary or something.
Watch
like,
something scary.
Night Gallery.
It'd have to be a very
Sterling, Twilight
recognizable thing that would
know,
be
yeah.
said. It can't
Yeah, I
just be
know.
anything. Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone, maybe
A little bit.
Like,
You're traveling through another dimension.
or it's a cookbook.
Or while you're traveling through another dimension, invade. Or when you're traveling through another dimension.
There's a signpost up ahead. Your next stop, the Twilight Zone. And
Twilight Zone is more sci-fi horror.
I say we just do invade. It's stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stupid. Let's wrap this up.
Okay, let's go.
I don't know what else to do. Honestly,
no,
guys.
I
I
actually
know.
don't either.
Right.
This is one of those
If
moments.
you got one, I'm ready. But
I know.
What
I know.
other famous Planet of the Apes lines are there?
A good
have-
human is a dead human.
You blew it up.
Wait, what?
Say that. You blew it up. You could be saying as done not.
Damn you.
Well, we were
blew-
doing Ursus.
Yeah,
So I would
yeah,
think it'd
yeah.
be an
That's
Ursus
true.
line.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
so-
like,
You're right.
That's
only
true.
good humans. What was the other one?
Lawgiver
Your
bleeds.
God. What was the God one?
The lawgiver bleeds.
That's pretty funny. Let's just do that. Do a couple of different ones.
We'll do- yeah.
And then we'll just.
couple different.
You just did a
I
couple.
think invade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Invade.
Shouldn't you do it 3 times though? Invade, invade,
And that is his line, right?
invade.
That is-
Yeah,
is it?
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
he
3
said that.
times.
Yeah, yeah.
Invade,
All right,
invade. They're all there. Invade.
I wonder if I could.
We're gonna go.
Yes.
Yeah?
Well,
You can do that at the end.
come on. That was
You guys should do that.
Okay, okay,
while
okay,
I'm
okay,
doing it.
okay, okay.
After he's finished saying
Yes,
all
yes,
three.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna go see Juanita. All right.
See, I got
You
it.
did that good.
Very good. Very good. Yes.
That was James Mason doing it.